Well, we are back for another round of our Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars, and it's a brand new car for these drivers as well, as we welcome you to week number 7 of the championship here. Paul Smith and Sadakist up there on the party deck enjoying himself, and Matt, apart from enjoying yourself up on the balcony there, Spa-Francorchamps, what's not to love?
The whole track, really. I'm not a fan, personally. I never do well, although weirdly I have my 2 wins this year in iRacing there, but it's such a love-hate relationship with this track. Yes, it's brilliant. It's got great undulation. It's got some really fast corners, decently long lap with great overtaking opportunities, but that's why it also can be very frustrating, because you have to be so precise not to be caught out by other people, not to get, a mistake that lets them get into your draft. So I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome as well that we're going to have the GT3 cars out for the first time this year, and for the first time the All-Stars will be expected to be faster than the PESC drivers.
Well, we'll see about that. But let's have a look then at the car that they're going to be using here today. It is the Porsche 911 GT3R. Lovely 4-litre flat 6 engine, 550 horsepower, ABS, traction control, a ton of downforce, and a ton of fun, Matt.
Absolutely, and in the current BOP of the GT3 field in iRacing, it certainly rose to prominence. Daytona was basically Porsche week, and ever since then, there's been a lot of the top split guys running this car very successfully. So extremely good platform, even within the iRacing field right now. And yeah, ton of fun to drive. Just really aggressive car, and yeah, it's a beauty.
And let's have a look at where we're racing then. So we have come back across the Atlantic, and we are now in the Ardennes forests of Spa-Francorchamps near Stavelot, a track that I've been to a couple of times myself, actually. Very well recommended track to go to. 7 kilometers in length.
Yeah, beauty.
You'd normally say that's one of the longest circuits of the season, but it's not, is it?
Well, we've got Le Mans coming up, as well as the Nürburgring Nordschleife, so we've definitely got some long circuits still on the schedule, as we'll look at that right now, in fact. So the next race is, of course, the Nürburgring combined, therefore meaning the North Loop included, the Nordschleife, and then circuit to 24-hour de Le Mans in Francais. And then, of course, our season finale has to be at Monza, Cathedral of Speed, tons of drafting, always a contest, and we might be crowning some champions there, if not sooner in PESC. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but right now, yeah, this is the focus, Spa-Francorchamps, and I think you're right, this is a classic.
So let's have a look at what these All-Stars are going to be doing here today. So we're going to get open qualifying for 12 minutes, which around this track won't be that many laps. Then we get a 17-minute sprint race and a 27-minute main race here. And the drivers are all going to be heading out of pit road, and they'll be getting themselves ready for the qualifying session. With it being a longer lap here, you've got to make each lap count, and you've also got to be in a slipstream train around here.
Yeah, absolutely. The open qualifying for these guys means that is something they should try and capitalize on. You also want to time your slipstream well, though, because if you have it down the Kemmel Straight, you don't want to be behind them through Lacombes, Malmedy down to Brazil. You want to be done that. You don't want to get held up either, because that aerodynamic turbulence goes both ways. But look at this. We've already got the games going on. Everyone's trying to queue up. It's like disorganized Formula One where they need to change the rule for that, if I'm honest. But yes, it's you can see what they're trying to do. They're all trying to get that track position.
It's great to see Tony Kanaan back after missing a couple of rounds of the All-Stars. Get TK back in the car. This is great to see, and he's been posting some good lap times as well around here in this car. I think he really enjoys the GT3.
I think he does. Yeah, I mean, it's a little more high-end, shall we say, in the racing world. Not to take away from the GT4 and the Porsche Cup car, both brilliant cars in their own rights, but GT3s are obviously a professional category recognized internationally, and this is a little more aggressive and, a little more downforce, a little bit more power, a little more what TK would be used to, a little more, in his wheelhouse, so to speak. Not that he isn't capable in the sim. I mean, he's up to a 4,000 IR right now, iRating, and that's from starting simming in, late 2019, so he's definitely put in the effort. He's absolutely loving it. Every time I talk to him about it, he's just so enthusiastic. He's one of those guys that he would almost rather talk about sim racing than real racing, because it's so new and fun for him.
It took me nearly 9 years to reach 3K iRating, and he does it in such a short time. But looking through the rest of the drivers here, Emily Jones, our reigning champion, she's not had the best of seasons this season, it's fair to say that, and she's got a bit more competition competition this season. We saw Quirk earlier on your screen, so Emily really needs to start pushing on. And Casey Kerwin, he's just come in and been a sensation, hasn't he, in this All-Stars?
He has. I think mathematically he can't catch the front. I could be wrong on that, obviously, depending on how catastrophic things go, but realistically it's probably not going to happen for him, but he can certainly shuffle the order. And you're right, Quirk, Tyson Mayer has been so impressive. Like we said, 1,000 wins in iRacing now as a driver, which is outrageous. Probably more than that since that happened, obviously, because that was a few weeks ago now. And at that rate, you'd expect a few more in there. But yeah, tons of great guys. Matt Malone as well, another phenomenal entertainer and someone who's jumped on comms in the past as well for this series, and definitely someone that has been up and down, had his moments in this series, and we'll see how he gets on. Because again, switching cars, switching driving styles, and switching to a circuit that requires a lot more speed is going to change the order slightly once more.
Yeah, good to see Jardier back after missing around due to ill health, so he's back and he's going to be competing, and he's really been up there racing for victories in the season and getting a couple of victories as well. Drivers on their first flying lap now with 8.5 minutes remaining, so this qualifying is just flying by. Dan Suzuki as well.
This should be the last time we see Dan in this environment as well. I believe he moves next week, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll be going back to his bigger monitors and getting things set up. Does use motion, by the way, which is, I think, the only guy on our grid that does. But this, for him, in the GT3, this is what, if you watch his stream, he's in all the time. So this should be more familiar, if anything, of the cars that we've used this season for Dan.
But you know, as Hiker 360, not happy with his lap, so he's quickly gone back to the pits and he's going out again. But that means an entirely new out lap and then getting his fast laps. And of course, remember, in this qualifying here, once that clock strikes 0, that's it. You do not get to finish your lap time. So
he doesn't look happy, does he? Yeah, I wonder if it was a mistake of his own, or if maybe, you know, the draft train kind of caught him out and he didn't get a run somewhere. Maybe he was... I don't know. We didn't see it, but certainly he's unhappy and he's shaking his head in a dismissive manner, suggests that maybe it wasn't, you know, an accepting mistake. So it could have been something else uninvolving to him. But either way, Pierre-Oliver Villette, DiPiello, he's been pretty solid as well this season, and hopefully he can find something in this car. I didn't see where his position was in practice, but I know the times were quite close.
He's not had the best of luck, has he, all season? And DiPiello. And certainly he'll be looking for a good round, although going off the track there, obviously checking the chat or something there, distracting him a little bit, but thankfully kept it at the wall as the first few times come in. Here's Maxime, and she's just gone through radio to start another lap, and she's yet to set a lap time out there. So times are coming in thick and fast here, and we have got a couple of new drivers as well for this week joining the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Two of them. Stratty, you can see in the 81 car, it's kind of that orange back, I think the red front, and then Mavix TV in the 977, who's currently the quickest car. So Marco Bischoff looking pretty solid so far. He was quickest in practice as well. Casey Kerwin's 1/10 off of him. Interestingly enough, TK, Tony Kanaan, way back right now on his first lap, did a 2:18. He's 1.8 off. He was only 0.06 off of Marco in the practice session, so look for him to get perhaps a better lap on the second round by.
Timo Salt, who's currently 13th, 3 seconds off of that pole position time at the moment, but just under 6 minutes remaining. Still a couple of laps in this one, so don't read anything into that. Hold on to it. No, around it goes.
Yeah, easy to do. Porsche is still the most rear-based, rear-engined, rear-weighted car of all the GT3s. It's difficult to get the braking balance right. Some people run it really forward in this car to try and kind of neutralize it, and some run it, just as we see in the Porsche Cups, a little more rearward. It's very much preferential, but it does mean you've got to be very careful on rotation and how much trail braking and how upset the tires can become. So yeah, getting caught out in this car is easy to do if you're not familiar with it. And that's why I say it's been very solid in the GT3s lately. Dan Suzuki's been driving it, not just in the GT3 class in iRacing, but driving the Porsche specifically with great success. So he should be very familiar today. We can already see him up in 4th place, just 0.3 back of Casey Kerwin, who's in second, who's very quick, and obviously Marco Bischoff having a great debut so far in this qualifying session. That's going to shake the order. Emery's in third right now. That's our leader. Dan Suzuki being quicker again. Zazo, Quirk way back right now. 0.8 back. That's, I mean, this is really changing it up this week if qualifying is anything to go by.
I was just looking at our drivers and the seating positions. Most are sort of that little bit of arm's length away from the steering wheel. Hydro actually sits right on top of the wheel that feels most comfortable in that position. It's not normally a driving position.
It's more of a NASCAR position, isn't it? Yeah, right up on top, you kind of over the wheel, and in NASCAR and in ovals, I can understand because you're trying to get your muscles almost locked into a memory in a long sweeping corner. You don't want to exhaust your shoulders and your deltoids all race long. But yeah, in a road course, that's, I don't know, not something I would do. I remember, I think it was, I want to say it was not Jason Plato, what's Matt's last name? Why am I drawing? Thank you, Matt Neal. I was drawing a blank right there. I remember he used to sit very close in sort of the early 2000s in British touring car. I remember one video, he was even hand over hand at Druids at Brands Hatch, and his elbow was almost touching the wheel, and I was like, I don't know how he does it. And since then, in all the other cars, he's been further back, so I don't know if it was weight distribution that season in whatever car he was in, but yeah, it's not common to see that for sure.
It also doesn't help that he's about 17 feet tall, so that doesn't help. Here's the foot of our new drivers, as you say, Stradic, then Javier Soto, another Spanish driver on the grid. Good to get that good mix of drivers, nationalities. Borja Zazo as well, who we are not used to seeing out there in the rather smart outfits that he wears. Not smarter than I could ever pull off, that's for sure. But yeah, he's out there, and he's doing it whilst driving. I just can't pull off a suit at all. I look like a businessman.
Maybe the key is that you need to do it while driving, because that's business time. You know, maybe that is how you pull it off, Paul.
Well, I'll have to try it sometime. I'll be a bit warm though, wearing a 2-piece or 3-piece suit. But yeah, Borja Zazo going up through Lecom and Malmedy. So it's still, as they were at the top of the standings, no real changes coming in here.
TK has made a bit of ground. He's gone up. He's the only improver, so he's not back down at 1.8 seconds off. He's actually improved by a full second, and he's now in 6th, just 0.8 off, but ahead of Tyson Myers. So that's a pretty significant one. That puts Quirk down to 8th. He's in the middle of the pack, obviously reverse grid, but that's way off the pace for what we're used to seeing from him.
Yep, if you're new to the series, then this qualifying sets the grid for our first race, 17-minute long race. And then at the end of that one, we get a full inversion. So whoever finishes last will start pole on our main race, 27 minutes long here today. But with 2 minutes remaining, the 2-minute warning is out. These drivers now will be pushing on to the end of this one. DePilo, should I say. Keep on getting
DePilio, DePilo. Yeah, we've done it a million different ways, haven't we? It's probably on us at this point.
Finally gets a lap time in though. 13th, 2.1 seconds off the fastest. Not ideal. Here's Casey Kerwin though now. Possibly the greatest hair in all of sim racing.
A lift through Blanchimont. Yeah, I mean, these cars should be... I'm just wondering, yeah, is he going... All right, he might be setting up. What's the time left? We got 1:17. Maybe he's setting up this. He's not going to be able to do it, but this is not a super quick lap from him. Lifting off in Blanchimont as much as he did. He was really early on the brakes as well into the final chicane, but yeah, it doesn't improve. That's for sure certain. He won't get to finish. By the way, downforce, they're running sprint setups, so the same as you get in the Fanatec fixed series if you jumped in this car on any given track. It does vary slightly track to track. I know they say fixed setup, but they still, iRacing do still try and balance those setups for each of the circuits, so they're not undrivable each week, like you've got some sort of Monza setup on at, you know, Nürburgring or something where you need a little more downforce. It's still balanced, but it is the sprint, essentially, the setup that you'd be familiar with at this track.
Here we go then, across the line, and Xavier Sanchez, only 10th place in qualifying for him. He's in that mid-pack, and that's his qualifying done. We're not actually going to have that many drivers come across the line now, only 18 seconds remaining.
And the interesting thing is, if I'm not mistaken, if you do a timed qualifying, open qualifying session, if you're not running a heat race, you can actually complete the last lap.
Yes.
after the flag. So same as, Formula One or most professional series, if you cross the line before the checkered, you are entitled to run around again until you see the checkered flag. That's a standard rule. When you run a heat race system, it doesn't, because it's essentially running on a schedule to a time system, and as soon as that flag drops, there's like a 20-second buffer that you have that you can maybe make it to the line, and then it does this, clears the track, and we get ready for the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look at our grid, and what a start for Marco Bischoff then. Front row of the grid with Casey Kerwin, Emily Jones and Dan Suzuki. Row number 2, Javier Soto, another one of ours, Strade, joined by Tony Kanaan in row 3. Row 4 then for Bolger Zazo and Quirk, championship leader down there in 8th place. Jardier and Hike 360, both race winners in this series, 9th and 10th place, with Matt Malone and Rai on row number 6. Row 7 for Game Muscle and Depilio, with Tia Mossant and Hydro, and then Maxime on that row number 9. 17 drivers are going to be taken to the grid, and we should have a really good race here, Matt.
I certainly hope so, yeah. And I know we talk about draft every week, and then we get made look, silly because they're all in a tow together. It's not as always as powerful as we thought, but in GT3 cars, definitely, it is a factor. And you will see a lot of draft training going on down the Kemmel Straight.
Drivers getting themselves prepared. I think we're just waiting on one driver now, and then we'll be good to go here for the start of this opening race of the evening. It's the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars race number 1. Revs are rising. Green flag in the air from Barney, and away we go. 17 minutes of action, heading down towards La Source, turn number 1. 2x2x2 into that one. Hard onto the brakes. So easy to make a mistake and have a contact in there. Everybody seems to have got through cleanly. Plunge downhill now. Down towards it. There's a race for the lead at the front then. They were going too wide into Eau Rouge, and they've all got through there, through Radion, over the top of the hill, and up the Kemmel Straight. And this is a steep uphill as well. And look at that, 2nd place now for Emily Jones.
And that's the issue. I mean, look at the drafting already. We saw Casey Kerwin wanted to try and battle all the way out of La Source into Eau Rouge. And unfortunately, we got contact further back. That's a big one. That's a couple people around. Who's falling down the order? We've got Zazo involved in that. Emily Jones is gone as well. We just caught her on the exit of Malnati, so she's out of it. Casey Kerwin back into 2nd, and I would say she might have been assisted on that one, just based on how quickly her back end was swung around. So 3 people involved in drama. That all started. Casey Kerwin wanted to basically go side by side from the source and force the issue with Marco Bischoff early, get him out of the throttle, but then by going side by side in Eau Rouge, he has to get out of it. He's then a sitting target at the top of the hill, and Emily Jones got a brilliant draft. Unfortunately, she gets a love tap in the following corners.
Yeah, Malmedy was not her friend, that's for sure. Tony Kanaan, as you say, and Bolger had to get together at Le Combe, as Tia Mossant now drops down the order. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see how things stand at the moment. It is Casey Kerwin leading this one ahead of Marco Bischoff, with Dan Suzuki 3rd place. Look at that start from Quirk though.
Yeah,
from
I was
the 4th
going to say.
on the grid up to 4th place.
Yeah, he's at a mega start right now, up 4 positions in total, and obviously benefiting a little bit from the dramas in front of him, as most of those cars involved Zazo, Emily Jones, obviously and Tony Kanaan were all ahead of him. So unfortunately for Tony, not the return to the series that he would have wanted. I did say Emily got tapped. I want to see the replay, because it is possible you can drop the wheel on the white line on the curb on the entry to Malnati and loop yourself, but just to how quick that car went around, and it was already backwards going into the trap, it might have gotten an assist on that.
Ryan, Heike 360 have been swapping places as well. Matt Malone is back there as well, changing places, and to the front of our field as well. You can see it on the timing tower, you can see it on the screen, and that is Casey Kerwin is embroiled in one heck of a race with Marco Bischoff, and this is what it's going to be like all race long if these two keep it up.
Yep, and obviously at this point when they get into it, Dan Suzuki still has the toe as well, and they've broken it from Quirk. He's a bit far back. If they continue to go head-to-head in this fashion and slow each other up, he'll be able to latch back onto this toe, which will bring him into the picture as well. But right now, Dan Suzuki will bide his time, They don't have to pit stop in this. They don't need to fuel save, but I can imagine he's even pulling the clutch and just letting the car roll nice and softly, keeping the tires fresh into that situation. So he'll just sit and wait his time right now as Casey Kerwin forced off a little bit.
As we look at those front few, here's a Vodafone replay. Look there, there's the ring. That's the focus point for you then. It's Zazo down the inside of Stradi and just gets his braking wrong. And Tony Kanaan is the innocent party, and then Emily Jones.
Ooh, that's a tough angle to see that. She definitely got a wheel wide on that white, but then was she able to save it? Was she too far around, and was there contact on the door? If it was the slightest of touches, so I think she may have dropped that on her own, which is interesting enough. But yeah, obviously Borzazzo making a pretty optimistic move down the inside. They basically went 3 wide, and Tony Kanaan would have thought, okay, I've cleared the car on the right. The spotter maybe even said one more on the right, but a little bit too late because of how that situation unfolded, and obviously he goes for an apex that he didn't realize was going to be occupied by a very late lunging Borzazzo.
Casey Kerwin really seems to have the middle sector of this lap down because he's tried to make a breakaway at the front here, but Marco and Dan, they'll be hot in his tails, and look at this, Quirk, he's right there with him, and Quirk is going to bring his friends with him as well. Everybody wants to play. You've got Gamer Muscle having a little bit of a race. No, don't get caught. How close! My goodness, Stradi, right now, get yourself a lottery ticket because that was the closest thing ever. That was incredible. That
is about as tight as you will ever clench in a moment when you just see a car go right in front of you like that. That was ridiculous. He would have been a passenger and taken out with no fault of his own. Yeah, obviously gets a wheel out on the grass. Didn't even touch the AstroTurf first. Got on the grass, fully committing to that braking point. And it is a big braking point when you're coming out of Blanchimont toward the chicane. So that was massive. And DePilio just very fortunate not to go around. I think he may have even missed the wall on the other side. Obviously, he may have taken floor damage from jumping that curb as we saw, but he might have gotten away with it himself. Obviously, he'll lose positions, but still in the race, still right behind Hydro at this point.
If I know our director, and he's got a sixth sense like me, I know that he'll be looking for a replay on board Stradi to show just how close that was coming right across the nose of his car. He will have seen that in his mirror as well and gone, well, do a cross and hope for the best.
Emily Jones has made it back past Borzazzo, but they're still a little bit off. Tupilio's just in front. They can catch the back of this train and still get some drafting, but we'll look at it now. This is going to be insane. So again, there's our focus ring, and you see it on the grass, not even the AstroTurf. And man, that is close. I think he stays off the wall there. This is the slow-mo. Look at the right side right now. Watch how close this is. He actually opened the steering. I think he saw it. I think that was good heads-up driving from Stradi.
And that shows as well, you don't just look forward when you're racing, you keep an eye on your mirrors if you've got people around you, because at a corner like that, you need to be absolutely on your wits, and fair play, that's some heads-up driving there from Stradi.
Speaking of heads-up driving, here comes Quirk wanting to get a little bit further ahead in this field, and Dan Suzuki has lost the train in front of him right now, so he needs to focus hard heading into La Source, nail it, and try and get a good run through Eau Rouge to catch back up to the two in front. Otherwise, Quirk is going to be all over him because he needs a draft to avoid the tow right now that's going to be facing him.
I think these two need to work together now. They need to work together to try and draw themselves back up towards the front two and to give themselves a hope of getting this sprint race win. We've got a spinner, and that's Jardier who's around. I think he's been assisted at the what was known as the bus stop chicane. It's now just chicane, and I think he's got some damage to his car as well. But these two right here, Dan Suzuki and Quirk together. As I say, these two really need to work together now. Not race each other too hard. Use the slipstream between the two of them. Here we go. Quirk out to the left. Meanwhile, looking forward, and Marco Bischoff, he's making his presence known here in this race, but backs out of it. Quirk's past Dan Suzuki.
Yeah.
Suzuki, very smart there.
I knew that you were going to say work together. The problem is, if you look at the previous lap times, Tyson feels he has pace right now to catch the leaders, and he doesn't want to get held up, and even if he's behind Dan and they can get a draft together and maybe even get a little bump drafting going, he doesn't want to lose out in these middle sections in these corners, so he's going to just go for it. He's going to hope that they continue to go wheel to wheel in front of him, and he can latch onto the draft, and that's the position he wants right now. No sitting around, no resting. He'll be a little more content in third with the two guys still in front, but we'll take a look back at Jardier and what happened at the, as you say, former bus stop, now chicane. I think they're going to name it the Paul Smith chicane is what I heard. That was the rumor I heard. But similar thing, gets out wide, gets out on the curb, turns in, and just kind of forgot there was a car still on the inside, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's his undoing there, I'm afraid. And as Fernando Alonso once said, you must always leave the space. And unfortunately, Gamer Muscle couldn't exactly disappear anywhere. Gamer Muscle, I think he's liking this car. I think he suits this car.
Yeah, this is the best we've seen from him in a while, isn't it?
Yeah, he's really enjoying the GT3 car. Although he has got Hiker 360 behind him, you can see on our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. As we keep on looking at this race for the lead right now, front four on your screen there, and there's a bit of a gap back to Stradi, and then a little bit more of a gap back to a trio of Gamer Muscle, of Hiker 360 and of Rye. Race for the lead, top of your screen, race for third, bottom of your screen. You can see that race further down as well for sixth place at the background of that shot as well. So look at that. Hikey 360 we're on board with right now. Got the 360 cam on for this one as well. Gamer Muscle down the inside at the source.
Very well done at La Source. Doesn't use all the road on the exit though. Even held the car a little bit tight. Maybe could have opened the steering and got a bit more throttle into it, but has enough of a breather toward Eau Rouge and Radillon. Now the draft will come back. Watch how fast Ike can close up on him down the Kemmel straight. Meanwhile, though, we've got to go back to the front because that's exactly what's happening. And you can defend the outside. In fact, I prefer the outside going into this sequence of corners because you can pinch, you can wrap in just like that if you've got enough of a gap, and then you can hold off on the second apex of the complex, the guy that's trying desperately to keep that tighter inside apex at the first corner. So I find outside heading into the combs is actually the better position in the GT3 cars.
But Casey Kerwin is returning the favour. He wants a piece of the action here as they go through the left-hander then, and still that race to the lead is ongoing here. Those two are slowing each other down as well. So this dual screen that we've got right now, the two races, the big heated races right now, and those two leaders, they've been side by side pretty much most of this lap. Little squeeze from Marco Bischoff. He's making his presence known, isn't he?
Yeah, well done, Casey Kerwin. Just getting ahead on that top screen, just barely. Gets out over the AstroTurf. There's a few spots he can pick up incident points, but not going to be too worried about that right now. Just wants that track position. And again, you'll be heading out of Stavelot onto another straight down to Blanchimont where the drafts can be effective. He might get a chance, another return serve back at the chicane. Meanwhile, down at the the race for 7th, it's Gamer Muscle still defending, but this is exactly the spot. So Blanchimont, listen on board. No lift, full draft, and Casey's going to try and get this done immediately. Try and go to the outside, force him, because it is a very long, tight right. It's more than a 90-degree corner, and you need to open up the apex. Force to the inside, though. That's going to put Marco off aim here a little bit. That's going to give Casey a better drive, so now he can maybe try and do this at the source, or I think at this point, if you're going to be this back and forth, you sit back, you stay patient, you come out of Eau Rouge, and you go for it down to Lacombe's.
Well, the person who has joined this party is Quirk. He is now made it a trio for the lead here, and Dan Suzuki, I mean, don't write off Dan Suzuki because he can still look at him.
Oh my goodness!
Sipping away on his sippy cup and one-handed.
I guarantee you, he would have said to chat, "Yeah, watch, guys, I'm just coasting. I'm just gonna have a drink here." Goes through Eau Rouge and Radillon while having a sip of the smoothie. Got a little sideways, but I don't think he wants to give up too much track space messing around like that.
Look at that, though, for the lead again in front. There's going to go side by side.
Yeah, but again, outside on the first apex always wins. Always wins in that situation. It's not a Formula car. You don't have the downforce to carry the speed tight on the inside and then snap ahead. You've got to let the car roll a bit, and the mechanical grip matters around that outside. you can carry a little bit more on the entry in these GT cars, and I think it's the better position to be in. So in the draft, late, ooh, that is a wide slide on the grass. Going to be an issue as Gamer Muscle has Matt Malone now trying to get behind Rye and sneak through. Rye was side by side with Gamer Muscle just a half a lap ago, so this is going to change the order, maybe give Gamer Muscle a bit more of a breather as well. As we said, this is a great race. That's a huge incident point, not off track, not a slowdown, but Matt Malone is, again, not going to be worried about that so much as just keeping his nose ahead.
Yeah, Matt Malone, that's all he cares about right now, up to 8th place for him then. He's not had the best of qualifying, and this is just about getting whatever you can out of this race. But there's action everywhere here in this Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars race. Look at the front then, at the top of your screen, race for the lead. It's Casey Kerwin, it's Marco Bischoff, new to the series, and it's Tyson Meyer for the top 3. Below them on the screen there, that race for 7th place. James West, Gamer Muscle, Matt Malone, you've got Rye there. Emily Jones is joining the party. 2 wide though for the race lead right now, and Bischoff to the outside. Gets the inside, but it's tight around there, and you can carry the speed out the corner, and here comes Quirk.
Quirk's going to have a great look at this Soundlessaurus again. Even if he doesn't get it done here, he's so much closer now when they get to Eau Rouge just as a result of this. So he can even afford to back out of this. Let him have the apex, tuck in. Yeah, he's going to do exactly that. Opens the corner up so he gets a good drive. Doesn't bother trying to pinch him and defend. He just wants to hold here. Not even going to look into Eau Rouge. Just hold for the Kemmel straight. And this is great from Casey because it's going to give him a bit of a breather. Meanwhile, Dan Suzuki, whether his tires fell off or he just didn't have that raw pace at the start, he's catching up to this train again, and they're doing similar lap times. Here we go, Quirk outside again. Casey's going to continue, in his words, as he would say as an oval racer, to defend the low line, and it's not going to work for him, I don't think.
Well, down towards, or up towards Lecom, and Marco, yeah, just on the brakes there, gets ahead. Now this is Gamer Muscle and Matt Malone racing for that 7th place. Malone to the outside, Rice trying to follow him through. Gamer Muscle, a little bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment here, but he's still putting on a tremendous display. Round the outside of Malmedy goes Matt Malone up a position, and here comes Rye now. He's trying to get involved down at Brussels. It's a long way around that, but it gives you the inside for Jackie Hicks corner, left-hander.
Look who's still recovering. Second place going into Lacombs, remember, at the start of the race, and then unfortunately dropped the wheel. Emily Jones is all over this trio in front of her, and she might get a chance to make up further positions. This is the second last lap. We've got a chance for her still.
And look behind them as well, they've got Bolgezazo and Tony Canard getting involved here. This is a train of cars here, all wanting that 7th place that Matt Malone currently has. And Gamer Muscle, look at the back end of that car, that is stoved in. He has taken a heavy hit as Gamer Muscle.
Absolutely, going to be pushed right against the gearbox and the exhaust of that lovely Porsche engine in the back end of the car, but still going quite well. Fortunately, back end, it's still going to have some effect on the straightaways, but not as much aero effect as the front side would. So here we go. Emily Jones, though, she's going to get this done. I think she gets 2 more positions out of this at least if she can keep just getting in the right place at the right time with the draft. And she's got less damage than everyone else in this situation right now in this race.
Yeah, this has been an absolute knockdown, drag him out race for 7th place right now. To the inside goes Bolgezazo. Gamer Muscle's round! Gamer Muscle's round, and after all that hard work,
too aggressive on turn-in, and he didn't want to hit the brakes. He lifted the throttle. That's lift-off at a massive amount of turn-in, and it just all bound up at the same time, and the tire couldn't handle the rear-wheel locking. Just unloaded the weight. Too much weight transfer.
Well, this is a slingshot now. This is what Marco Bischoff wanted, the run through a Rouge Radial. Casey Kerwin has to defend that inside line. And look at the speed, that extra speed that Marco's carried all the way up the Kemmel straight. It's a steep hill, I can tell you.
He's running away though.
Wide. Quirk's going to come in and contact between the 2 of them.
Good
Quirk
save,
hangs on. My goodness, this is tremendous stuff at the front. And Casey says, see you later, folks.
Yeah, that was well held from Quirk because that could have got awkward. His wheels were out on the grass. He did the exact right steering inputs to keep the car straight and still aim to get back onto the tarmac before the next apex. And yeah, look, Marco Bischoff did everything right. He went to the outside, like I said. He's trying to open the car up. He's trying to drive it through. But out of respect and the fact that it's the last lap, Casey goes a little bit deeper. And Marco, out of respect, just leaves a little more room. And unfortunately, that meant he went a little bit wide and understeered, trying to carry that speed. So well held from both Casey Kerwin in that respect. But Marco, I think, will be kicking himself for that small mistake that's now cost him a position rather than gained him one.
He's not giving up, though, is he? That's for sure. He's still coming back and still trying to get second place out of this. Casey Kerwin, I think, has broken the draft. Meanwhile, Matt Malone now, he'll be thinking, oh my goodness, I just can't escape from them. Here comes Emily Jones now. She's trying to get that 7th place from Matt as we come through.
Oh, that's going to do it.
Gravel. That's a big mistake, but Jones is squeezed. Jones! Contact between the two of them, and Malone saves it.
I think that was double contact. I think she spun him sideways to get by and then pointed him straight again to say thank you very much, because he gets both ways. But meanwhile, at the front, here's Casey Kerwin once again, Paul.
And Marco's got second place, or has he? Well, Casey Kerwin's weaving across the line. He's delighted. The race for second, I don't know who it is. We'll have to wait for the timing screen to tell us that. That was Rye, who was facing the wrong direction. Matt Malone, he's racing Tony Kanaan, and Borja Zaza goes around the outside. He gains a place at the end.
So our in-game timing tower still had Tyson Meyer ahead, but my official timing says it was Marco Bischoff, and it was by 0.06. So I think Marco just got him on the run of the line.
Well, there we go. There's confirmation. Then it is Casey Kerwin by 1.5 seconds, and Marco Bischoff just ahead of Tyson Meyer, with Dan Suzuki in 4th place. Great start for Straddy to finish in 5th ahead of Heike 360. Emily Jones Emery with that recovery drive to 7th, along with Tony Kanaan and Borja Zaza. Matt Malone ends up in 10th place. Game of Muscle, it's what could have been for Game of Muscle here in that opening race. 11th place for him with Hydra Rye, Maxime, Timo Sant, Jardier with Depelia not finishing this race. But my goodness, that was a thrill a minute. And Matt, where do we start with this? I suppose we'll have a look at this replay.
I think it's worth it. Yeah, this is Matt Malone, obviously, as they came out of Stablo, and unfortunately, yeah, it gets wide, gets on the gravel, can't get the power on out there. Obviously, an incident point and a bit of contact between them, but then, like I say, he was in the middle of saving it. It also punts him back the right direction. He loses a few positions, and here's what happened to Rye. So because of all of that, it slows up Emery enough, and they almost go, oh God, almost 3 wide into Blanchimont. Never gonna happen. And where does Rye lose it here? Because they carry through. It's just on the inside of Blanchimont. Yeah, obviously side draft the factor. He's got to hold the car a little bit tighter, and he just loses the rear end.
Yeah, and that's so easily done on there. But, well, here's highlights of the race. I mean, good luck to our editors for this one, because there was plenty go on there. That was the dramatic moment right there when Straddy, great heads-up driving to avoid that incident, and Game of Muscle, he put on a great display. I give him a little bit of stick. He gives me a little stick on my streams as well. But Game of Muscle, to be fair to him, really good job, and just unfortunate in how things ended up for him dropping down the order. But plenty of action, plenty of racing throughout this field. This Porsche All-Stars, they always deliver here.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And man, the GT3 just looks so good, doesn't it? Porsche, if I can pick any car as payment, please send me one of those. No problem. I'll take one off your hands for you. No, it's such a good looking car around this circuit. Great to see it as well. And obviously, like we say, the draft was going to be a factor. It certainly was. And then when they get into these incredible races and these competitions between each other for placement, that's again, Marco's being so polite there, and nothing he can do about the contact with Quirk, because at that point he's running wide. He's out over the curb, and he has to just try and save the car. He's got to open up a little bit to do so to get off. And I think Quirk did a phenomenal job of not losing it there.
He did, as there we go. That's the instant with Rye at the end. But Casey Kerwin is the one who takes the victory after that one. 17-minute race there, action all the way. We've got an extra 10 minutes to look forward to now, Matt.
I know. I'm up here in the party deck, and it is a party so far with everything that's been going on. Now, that's awesome. And yeah, another 10 minutes. About another 5 laps, maybe 4, depending on what they sort of run throughout the course of the pace, but the race, excuse me. But yeah, that's significant when you think of how many people were really coming on strong at the end. Even Dan Suzuki, he didn't have the pace at the start, but
yeah,
everyone in front of him scrapping a bit, getting a little bit of slide here and there. His tires were coming back in.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, we have Matt, the race winner.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to make a career switch, Casey. Get over here in the road course, because once again, just absolutely dominating it. You held the low line or the high line. I'm not sure which into the Coombs. You tried everything.
Yeah, it was a great race there with Barco. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, then Quirk kind of got involved at the end there. Yeah, it was just obviously the draft's huge here, but I didn't really care. I was just going for we ran side by side for half the lap thing near that one lap. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, like in that dive into, I don't know what the chicane's called at the end of the long straight.
McCombs.
Okay.
I got you.
I'm not going to attempt to say it, but that corner, he went a little wide and messed up, and then that was kind of, obviously good for me. It got me away for the end of the lap, but it would have been obviously more entertaining if it had stayed the battle all the way to the final corners. But I'm sure us coming through the field and everyone, re-racked and restacked for the feature here, it'll be just as exciting.
Yeah, absolutely the case. GT3, obviously, as opposed to GT4, a lot more power, a lot more downforce, more suitable to you, or what how have you been enjoying this car?
I feel like it's a bit more suitable, just because like the GT4 is kind of a different style of racing, because it's more like momentum based. So like this, it fits me a little bit better. I feel like racing is just, I don't know, it just feels more natural. But yeah, it's definitely fun to drive, but it still has some like hard characteristics to get used to, especially in like the
does it have a tight front center again, or whatever you
said?
It's
a little understeery on center, especially on landing. Like landing down into the corner kind of shoves the nose a bit, but especially on the long run as the front tires go away. But yeah, then also in like some of the fast corners, like Puon. Did I say that right?
Go. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that one, the rear's a little loose, tries to step out on you a little bit. So yeah, but hopefully I'll still have it under control and go forward in this one.
Nice. I'm going to learn oval terms eventually, I'm going to have to if you keep winning races.
I'll keep helping.
Yeah, perfect. I'm going to start a little dictionary. All right, thanks, Casey, and best of luck on the reverse grid.
Thank you.
And speaking of that reverse grid, Matt, let's get straight to it, because these races come thick and fast here. So it was a bad race for De Pelo in race number 1, but it does mean that he gets to start on the front. Rest of your field coming through. One's to look out for Emily Jones. She'll be wants to make forward movement. And, well, Marco Bischoff as well will be learning what it's like to come through from the back of the grid to the front. But we're getting ready for the start of this race. The engine revs will rise up again, and these GT3s will be underway for 27 minutes of action here in the Porsche Tagore Esports All-Stars. Green flag, and away we go once again, and it's not the best of starts from the second row of the grid for, I believe that was Rye, down towards La Source, once again 3 wide in towards the hairpin there. Will they all get through? They did the first race, and you know what? They've done it again. Fantastic stuff from these drivers now as they plunge downhill towards Eau Rouge and Radio. Drivers all ready, and De Pelo is at the front and has got a little bit of a gap. I see drivers going through.
Just to know, Maxime's got a penalty for rolling too far backwards at the start. I want to talk about that. We're almost getting 4 wide gamer muscle, getting a sniff of everyone. This is a pack of 3s. Everyone's there.
Everyone is there, and Borja Zazo forces his way through the middle, says thank you very much. Gamer Muscle's trying to follow Zazo with this. Emily Jones is sat there, a little bit of being left on the high side there, and stays in 8th place right now. But Tony Kanaan up 6 places in this race so far. He sniffs the possibility of a victory here today in this feature race.
Yeah, that'd be huge for him on return. And Team Masson was in that battle as well. I mean, they were 3x3 going down the Kemmel Straight. Pretty remarkable, and everyone was trying to figure out the right place to be. Obviously, TK's found the right place, as you say, up 6 spots already. Yeah, standing start in these cars. Not what we usually see in a GT3 series. Internationally, some series do it in these cars. They're capable of it. But keep in mind, you've got to drop a clutch down, and you're trying to balance out that clutch. And there is a bit of a hill here at Spa on the front straight. So obviously sliding backwards a little bit, Maxime inherits a penalty. The other thing that's an aspect of this is that you are in a fixed setup. You can't adjust the traction control for the start. So typically you're going to be holding a TC button that you have mapped to your wheel. Not everyone does it, but generally, and trying to balance that wheel spin and then let it go and go back to the
background of that shot, there was a car flying upside down
yes,
there,
there is.
and it's Quirk! It's Quirk! My goodness, that's your championship leader! Upside down on the exit of Stavolo! Something's happened at the back there on lap number 1 here, but that is huge for our championship leader here, Matt.
In the words of Jim, I'm sure it goes better the other way around. Yeah, he's going to be up and out of this one. That's crazy. We got to see a replay of what happened there, because he was completely upside down and inverted when we jumped on board with him, and I don't think he's Tony Hawk, so it probably wasn't intentional.
No, I think that'll end his duplicator as well. That'll stop stop that bit adding up the score there for him. But my goodness, that was crazy. But what it does mean is De Pila at the front ahead of Jardier with Ryan 3rd place, Tony Kadan 4th ahead of Borja Zazo. So those two fast starts from those two to go through, and Hydro in 6th place. But Matt, take us through what happened here.
So I think it's Team Masson. Yeah, here we go. And Matt Malone on the inside of that. Obviously, Maxime, who's got the penalty coming in. Oh, okay, so 3 wide. That's a tough place to be. And they just pinball off of each other. And as he starts to turn in, Quirk gets speared by Team Masson, who is ricocheting off of that. And I believe the 977, Marco Bischoff, was involved. So 2nd place in the first race. Had a chance for the win. He is also showing red on my timing screen. So both he and Quirk out of the race.
Yeah, and that's welcome to the series, Marco. Your first taste of trying to work your way through a field, and unfortunately, when you get an inverted grid like that, sometimes those types of situations can happen where you've got drivers who are maybe faster than others trying to work their way through the field, and unfortunately, that's happened, and it's affected both Quirk and Marco Bischoff. Marco is going to try and get back out there, I can tell you. So he'll try and keep at least on the lead lap. But right now, this race for first, I think it's that top 5. Top 5's in a little bit of a queue, and then Gamer Muscle, once again, Gamer Muscle, 6th place, seems to be holding up the rest of the field right now.
As long as he can keep doing it. He's got Dan Suzuki and Emery behind, though. That's going to be very difficult to try and do. And not only that, Casey Kerwin is linked onto that train as well. But you're right, up front right now. Dupilio trying to make amends with last race. Phenomenal spot. And Jardier very early on the brakes. You think so? Okay, I was going to say, must have been something, because he got way out of the throttle there.
Yeah, I think he ran wide through Blanchimont. If you run too far wide through there, you do get a slow down penalty.
Oh, rightfully so. Otherwise, you can just keep it pinned.
Yeah, it is part of the automated system here on iRacing. It will automatically tell you to give back the time that you've gained. And, well, as they go back downhill towards this, we're going to go on board with Stradi once again. Is this going to be a second bit of good fortune for Stradi?
Wow. Just gets out of it. I mean, saw that one coming. Oh, yeah, you can see exactly what happened to Marco Bischoff in that one. So he gets snapped into the wall and does a nice little flat spin before landing it back down. Probably equal to Maverick heading out to sea in the flat spin there, Paul. But unfortunately, we won't see any more of him. He is back out and running. If I'm not mistaken, he's showing his white. So maybe they did their repairs and went back out. So too did Quirk. They'll just hope for optimism and try and get some points out of it.
But again, luckiest person on track, Stradi, 4 places gained in that one incident for him.
Yeah, that one, to be fair, was less. I mean, both times he opened the steering in the first race and it had great avoidance. Again, luck that it was that close. That one, he could kind of see it coming and had a bit of a chance to react. But you're right, he inherits all the positions out of it.
So we've got the race for 3rd up on the top of your screen here. It is Tony Kanan who sits in that 3rd place. He's got Jardier behind. So Tony Kanaan has actually made it past Jardier up into third place in this race, with Borja Zaza behind Jardier in that one. And the race for sixth, it is Dan Suzuki who's made it ahead, so too has Emily Jones. Gaming Whistle's dropped down 2 places and he's now ahead of Casey Kerwin.
Yeah, Casey's going to be all over that as well, looking for an invitation pass. If I'm not mistaken, Paul, this is the highest Dupilio and Rye have both run this entire season, and so far holding their own up there.
Yeah, and doing a good job of it. I mean, we're
18.5s, 18.1s, those are competitive times. That's what we saw at the front last race.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Suzuki is the only one who got last lap into the 17s. Everybody else is 18s and above, so it's really good. There you see the two of them on our screen now. Only one of them appears to be Never Not Racing with the cap there. I'll be honest, that type of cap just does not suit my shape of head.
I think you should give it a try. I think you can pull it off. I think it matches your shirt brilliantly. But I mean, this is so true. Never Not Racing. I mean, it's Porsche. They did the Reloaded this year. Name a time during any portion of the day. iRacing, obviously, there's always a Porsche on track. You get GT4s, you get the Porsche Cup car, you get the GT3s. Every one of those series is popular, and every one of those cars is popular in it. But then go to, and you've also got, of course, the GTE. I continue to think that that's gone. It's still in a series because it is possible in WEC. And then you've got the LMP1. But of those 3 I previously mentioned, always racing. And in real life, excluding iRacing, I guarantee there's a Porsche somewhere on the track right now at any given time. So, change for the lead, though. Rye has gotten by with the draft of Dupilio. And I don't know if, Drew, we can get a shot of Paul, but he's looking pretty stylish in that cap.
Rye then, really good. Now, Rye will be trying to pull away here and try and break that slipstream train. He'll be hoping Dupilio and Tony Kanaan, they start squabbling and start slowing each other down for second place. And they'll be trying to, as I say, Rye will try and waltz away at the front. But that is so much easier said than done around here at Spa-Francorchamps, where we keep on saying that draft is king around here. And if you can keep that draft train, it keeps you in the race here.
Well, this is the biggest change so far in today's championship. Look at that hat change. Oh my, that was a huge move. I saw some very slick drafting. Not a lot of drag under that hat, have to be honest, but it looks much better with the hashtag Never Not Racing.
It just doesn't suit my shape of head.
I think you look great. I think you look great, but maybe that's just my North American perspective. I'm not going to lie. It looks awesome with the shirt.
As long as that's the main thing. As long as it looks good with the shirt. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this and you're thinking you want a piece of the action,
same thing as last time. Same thing as last time. He touched the edge. He got on the edge. Nice spin around. Well done from Rye to hold the TC button and loop that right back in. And Dupilio's lost it again. I don't know if the tires were hot or if he just got stacked in the queue and didn't have the pace, and he's still trying to get it together. But exact same situation as the first race. Drop the wheel under braking.
Yeah, and that's what costs you. It costs you big time, does that. And, well, it does mean one thing. We've now got Tony Kanaan racing at the front of your field. Jardier in second place, Borja Zazo in third. So it's 9 places gained for Tony Kanaan. Borja Zazo's up 6 places. Emily Jones up 7. Casey Kerwin up 12 places in this race so far. Jardier wants a piece of first place right now, and he's not moving any, but looking back as well, you can see Casey Kerwin was trying to make his way past Emily.
As we continue to look at the front as well, Zazo getting much closer to this. So it's the exact same thing as the first race. Wide outside after Blanchimont, gets a good run and wants to get the braking done. But once again, it's the grass and not the AstroTurf, just a bit earlier. And poor Rye just gets whacked, goes for a flight. Now, this was pretty good on his part. Just powers it up. And I think he even gets out of the TC to allow that to happen because it obviously smoked up the rears. So good heads-up driving from him to get back underway. And he obviously gets knocked out of the race for the lead, but still carries on right now in 7th place and not too far behind Dan Suzuki. Could have been a much worse situation, especially when you look at Dupilio, who's 13 seconds further back and in 12th.
Because Casey Kerwin did make his way past Emily Jones then. up the Kemmel Straight, then does get ahead. So that's now plus 13 places for Casey Kerwin here in today's race. Emily Jones, though, crucially, has got the fastest lap. The key thing about setting the fastest lap around here, Matt, is avoiding the track limits, because you get a 1x, for going over those track limits, then any faster laps do not count. You've got to keep it between those white lines to the best of your ability. So Emily currently has that fastest lap. Race for the lead, top of your screen. Race for fourth, bottom of your screen here. We need to just take a little bit of a break. It's been non-stop at the start here, Matt.
It's been fantastic, though. I mean, it's entertaining, and there's been some drama that we would have liked to have done without, obviously, with Tyson Meyer and Marco, Maxime with a penalty. We've seen DePilio spinning, Ryan getting caught out, and yes, absolutely dramatic, but some phenomenal drives forward, as well as, you say, 13 places for Casey Kerwin. And of course, if you want to find out more about the standings, as well as the schedule, how to become a driver, just head over to iRacing.com/PESC, which obviously stands for the Porsche Esports Supercup, and you can find all the information available about how the series runs and how these guys all qualified to be here.
Don't forget that after all of this, we've got a Supercup races to come along. Jardier!
I kind of think he's got to leave room there. That was really good braking by Borzazo. He was far enough on the inside. Jardier just, I think, didn't give him enough room, considering it was a corner that goes back the other direction, and he tried to pinch him a little bit too long. That's going to leave Zazo under pressure. He gets wide again. Emily gets a tap. They both hold on, but guess who's still sneaking back through, as Emery actually got back past Casey Kerwin in the draft. That position changes once more.
Yeah, Casey Kerwin just trying to move his way forward. I was about to say, don't forget, everybody, I mean, this has been entertaining enough in itself. We've got the Super Cup coming up a little bit later, so do stick around if you've been thinking this is entertaining. Wait until you get 35 of the best road racers and iRacing competing around here as well, as there goes Casey Kerwin ahead of Borja Zazo. I think that damage to Zazo is a little bit telling now here, Matt, that the side of his car does look a little bit battered and bruised. It's certainly not going back on the garage forecourt after this race.
Yeah, it's just a side door. No one needs those anyway. You got a roll cage inside them still. It's all fine, but yeah, it certainly will affect some of the aerodynamics of the car and maybe leave him a bit vulnerable, as we're seeing now. Emily Jones having a look outside Blanchimont, tuck back in, maybe save it for La Source. Or excuse me, I should say the chicane, not La Source.
Yeah, as they go onto the brakes there. Emily round the outside, but nothing forthcoming in that one. Here's the Vodafone replay. Let's have a look at what happens as Jardier then. So it's Tony Kanaan in first, Borja Zazo to the inside, last of the late breakers as always. And yeah, I think it was just, as you said, Jardier just not leaving that space there.
Yeah, and he would have had, I think he has the next corner still, right? I mean, it's... Zazo definitely going to slow him up a bit by getting in there, but look at this guy. Yeah, I didn't even realize TK was in this race. He's so far ahead. He's probably wondering, like, man, like I'm leaving this big wake, this slipstream. Does anyone want to jump in that? No? Okay, cool. I'll just keep going.
I think he'd be more than happy to be out there on his own, to be honest. Nice, calm second half to the race for him. And he'll be hoping that those behind don't start focusing the sights forward and keep on tripping over each other, because this race for second place after the incident with Jardier just opened up that gap at the front. And Tony Kanaan, you don't need to ask him twice. He's well versed at leading races.
Well, and here's it's going to be race management for him at this point, because there's still 12 minutes left, and he's doing 19.1. The pace has dropped off from everyone. We're out of the 18s now, and at 19.1, with Casey getting a little bit of a break here, if he can release himself from the pack behind, he did a 19.4 while racing last lap, while trying to get positioned. So TK's just going to have to watch that gap and manage it. Keep his tires, but not give up too much in doing it, so he has something left at the end, because we know Casey can be quick. Look at Dan Suzuki, man. This guy said he was going running this week. He was getting ready to move. He's been doing a lot. I think he's sweating more now than all of that.
Yeah, he's getting a real workout here, and it just goes to show, but it goes to show as well just the effort that these drivers are having to put in.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you're using a control pad or anything. You are physically a part of that car. If you've got the sim rig, like especially like Dan Suzuki has set up there, really strong wheel, force feedback. He's going to be getting a true workout.
And it goes beyond that. I mean, there's so much mental stimulus that goes into it. You're so focused. That obviously contributes to the heart rate elevating. And there's also a lot of machinery there. He uses motion on his simulator. As we said, you've got the wheels now, the direct drive wheels. They've all got, internal computers that are creating energy and whatnot and heat as a result of that. And then you've got 3 monitors, 4 usually with chat. You've got cameras running. You've got the computer running. It gets quite hot in the sim room. I mean, I sit in my sim and it's the same thing. I start sweating and I think, man, how am I sweating so bad? But then you leave the room and you realize, oh, it's cold in the hallway. But the hallway didn't change. It's the room you're in that did.
Yeah, I can tell it's currently 22 degrees in this room, and I've just got a set of lights and a computer on to do this commentary. So imagine having to work behind the wheel of your vehicle. These two drivers, though, they are starting to reel in Tony Kanaan. That last lap of 19.0 for Tony, for Casey Kerwin, and 18.3. But Emily Jones, you saw it pop up on the screen as she goes ahead for second place. Casey's working with her here.
Doesn't
Emily,
need to fight this.
A 17.6. That is an incredible lap time.
Yeah, no reason to argue that early. Let her go. Don't over defend. They know that they're based on those lap times, based on the delta. They are closing the gap to TK at the front. So sure, if she wants to go by, absolutely. Let her get back in the draft, keep moving forward, make it clean and simple. If they're going to change positions, don't make it a long, arduous process between the two of them at this point.
And that's it. That's why I said they had to work together, didn't they? They had to think that long game of, okay, let's reel in the leader and let's try and improve both of our positions. There you see Emily Jones up at the front, in front of us in that green car. We're on board with Casey Kerwin.
And I did mention Tony could be saving a bit of tire. Emily Jones just did a 17.6. That's a mega lap. Now, I know she had a good draft because she came from about 0.9 back to close up. So there's, arguably 0.9 she got out of that lap being towed along by Casey Kerwin. But TK only did a 9.0, and even Kerwin did an 18.3. So I mentioned he might have to just manage this and save some tire. He can do that, but he doesn't want to do it for another lap that much, because if they get in the draft, that's over. They're going to catch up to him cleanly. So he needs to keep him about 1.5 back if he's doing this intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And track conditions, it's worth pointing out, track temperature is 36 degrees Celsius out there. So it's not the hottest of tracks, but it's still not cold, so you will be using those tyres a bit out there and getting a bit of heat buildup.
I find the biggest noticeable difference in temperature, obviously, if you get a track in iRacing with 17 or 18 degrees, send it, because you're basically on Velcro. But everything in the 20s is manageable. Once it starts to get over 30, you start to notice that slipping a little bit more. So it's still a good temperature. It's not 40s, obviously, but you're not at ideal grip out there right now.
And it's the long radius corners around this track that really puts a lot of load through those tyres and really works those tyres hard, builds up that temperature, and really does make things feel slick towards the end of the race. Casey is in that draft, but he's not pulling out of that draft. He's staying right there with Emily. Looking back, though, the race for fourth, Dan Suzuki moves ahead of Borja Zazo. Zazo losing time and losing places here to Dan Suzuki. Rai, look at this recovery from Rai after that incident at the chicane. We're on board with him right now, 6th place, and he's looking forward. He wants 4th place yet here, Matt.
Yeah, he does. Looking at his lap time last time by, it wasn't any quicker, but I think it's because he just couldn't get by. He's definitely got pace on them, and you can see it as he gets down in through the Jackie X corner, as it's now known, and then into Puan, which I do believe has another name now as well, Paul, but don't quote me on that. There you go, double gouache. Isn't that like a wash paint? Are we at art school? We're at the spa and getting art lessons. This is a lovely day out today together, Paul.
We're talking about paint. You need eggshell paint. That's what you need.
I have no idea what that is.
But anyway, let's keep an eye on these races then. So we've got that race for 4th place. You've got them just separating out a little bit. Look at Emily Jones. She's been catching up. Not quite the same amount of time, though, this lap. It's taken a little bit more, a little bit longer to catch up here, but we reckon about 2 laps. Looking back from Tony Kanaan's car now. Tony, we're on board with him. be great to speak to Tony after this race if he does end up winning this one, because he's had to work for this so far, but that gap has closed up that bit more. Last lap, across the line, 0.6 of a second was gained by those two, second and third.
Yeah, they have. They continue to close the gap. 1.3 now. So the effects of the draft go to about 1.5 seconds, but they amplify when you get within a second in terms of the draft. You start to get dirty air when you're within the 1.5. So they're getting there now, though, and Casey, aware of this, didn't want to get too aggressive earlier on. This time I think his run's too good to sit back and waste, so he's going to go for it and try to take second place, and I think rather easily will do so against Emily Jones.
And Emily, again, like Casey did with Emily, she's wise to it, just lifts off the throttle that little bit, allowing to have that momentum. There
could be a bit more strategy in that from Casey as well. He knows that he's fine being behind Emily, but he doesn't want to be behind both of them. He would like to get the job done on her so that when they arrive on TK, he gets a shot to get him cleanly as well, rather than them squabbling and him have to sit and try and pick off both of them at separate times when the draft goes both ways. So this could be him saying, right, thank you very much, we're close enough now. I'm within 0.7. Casey is absolutely hunting down TK. And just wants to go for it immediately when they do catch up. Meanwhile, this is further back, 4th through 7th. And I just want to say, Stratty, props to you, he's an 8th, I said 7th. Orange is an underrated color on a car, Paul. That car looks cool, I like it.
I'm always a purple guy myself, I'll be honest. I like a purple car, and there's not many cars that run with purple in racing, but that orange, it does stand out. And Straddy, welcome to the series here, has had 2 big accidents happen in front of him in both of these races, and has been able to just go through and to really go through. Look at this now. TK, Casey Kerwin, Emery, all together in the same shot now. They're definitely feeling that slipstream. This is the time when Casey, he can't afford to hang back. He can't afford, because that will allow Emily to get involved in this one and will let her to go past. We've got about 2 laps remaining in this race here, so business is about to pick up here. And Tony Kanaan, if he's wise about this, he can afford to let Casey by, hang behind and try and attack for that final lap.
Could potentially do it, because
it's a risk.
You don't want to be leading, though. Even if you've got pace, you don't really want to be the one that's targeted on the last lap. But Emily's got a decision to make, too, because she's got 2 people in front of her. So when does she pick the chance for opportunity and chance to strike on them? And Casey's just going to go with this. He thinks that maybe, and I'm sure this is in his mind, if he goes now, Emily's also had similar pace. They've both caught TK. Maybe she gets involved with him in the next lap and he's free and clear as a result of that, rather than him coming back under attack because of the draft.
Oh, we've still got heavy racing going on here. Bolshazazo is not satisfied with being in 5th place. Dan Suzuki, he's racing this one. Heike 360 down the inside of Brussels. Well, he's got to make that one work and stay ahead of Borgia. So Borgia going from attack to defense, and unfortunately for him, loses a place.
Well done, Dan Suzuki, for holding his nerve there, driving that well, not getting caught out under braking as well as they went down to Brazil. Kerwin is apparently, and I can see it on the timing screen, he's checked out, so he made the right call. Someone that's lap traffic getting well offline and out of the way. That was well done from Maxime, not to interrupt proceedings at the front of the field. So very responsible driving from her. But yeah, Casey has just checked the heck out. He might even be on for fastest lap of the race right now.
I said, didn't I, that he's so good through this middle sector, isn't he? And he just seems to have the edge over everybody else. Emily, she needs to get by now. She needs to get by going into the chicane, ideally, because she doesn't want to let Casey pull too far ahead. TK, with that slipstream, is closing up a little bit to Casey Kerwin. Emily Jones, though, looking to the inside into the chicane. Oh, they're about even on the brakes. Don't slow each other up here, because you'll allow Casey to run away at the front. Start of the final lap. The white flag is out. And, Emily John's getting really close, squeezing Tony Kanaan into La Source. She goes through on the inside.
This is a tough call. I know she has pace and she's thinking, I want to get on with this, but man, oh man, she's leaving herself vulnerable down the Kemmel straight and not much of an opportunity, aside from perhaps the chicane, to get that back. She may have actually just gifted Tony second place by virtue of taking it too early.
We'll have to wait and see how this works then. Up the hill. She has got the slipstream of Casey Kerwin, and she's following him.
That might save her. Yeah, she's trying to break the toe. That's going to save her. She stays just far enough ahead. Stays just barely in that draft, and TK snaking around, couldn't quite get back into it. Stratty, that orange car, let's not paint it black or any other color of the wall. Trying to go 3 wide, and Zazo just holds on to it in Millicooms.
And we know how Porsche Zazo is the last of the late breakers as well in this series. Oh, Straddy runs a little bit wide, and down the inside goes Rai, upper position. So Straddy falls down to 8th place. Still, they are racing together. I can tell you that Hydro and Gamer Muscle, they've been switching places on this last lap as well on that timing tower. You can see that changing as they change positions. But right now, Casey Kerwin at the front of your field has got a 9/10 of a second lead over Emily Jones. As I say, he's strong through this middle sector, and this has been key for him all through these races. Could it be a double race win for him? Maxime gets out the way again, so she's found that good passing place for her, but right now I would say Casey Kerwin should be on for a race win here, Matt.
Absolutely, I think he's well and clear at this point in time through Blanchimont into the chicane. Not quite enough to get that close, but Emily Jones does well. She picked it right. I thought she may have actually given that away, but you called it. Got into the draft of Casey. That gave her enough of a toe to also avoid that at the one against her, and yeah, well done from these two. Up 16 places, Casey goes back to front, and Emily goes 9 places forward.
At the final chicane they go. Casey Kerwin is going to be a double race winner here at Spa-Francorchamps in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars, and Hydro and Gamer Muscle get together at the Blanchimont corner. Who's that going past to take the place? DePilio.
Yeah, DePilio pluck reverse at that point, just drive it home backwards. The engine would be in the right place then for them, but unfortunately, yeah, okay, we're going to see the little bit of, I guess, the oval antics, as this is more familiar for Casey going in circles right now, but the victory, yeah, that's unfortunate. They get into it, it's the last lap, they want to make the move, and just a bit too close in Blanchimont.
Well, let's take you into the Buzz post-race show here on round number 7 of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports All-Stars. We'll get you some results right about now. There we go. So Casey Kerwin then, double race win for the American. He finishes first place in both of these races. Emily Jones, good drive for her to finish in second place ahead of Tony Kanaan, who led most of this race, unfortunately not able to hang on for a win here today. Then a bit of a gap back to Dan Suzuki with Heike 360 right behind him. Porsche Zazo managing to hang on to 6th place ahead of Rai with Straddy. Welcome to the series, Straddy. An 8th place for you there. DePilio in 9th place, taking advantage of Hydro and Gamer Muscle getting together. Matt Malone recovering drive for him after his accident, along with Timo Sant. Marco Bischoff and Tyson Meyer as well caught up in that incident. Maxime 1 lap down, and Jardier is the one who did not finish this race. But let's have a look then at a replay here, Vodafone Replay. And this is between Hydro and Gamer Muscle then through towards Blanchimont. Gamer Muscle trying to go on the inside, and it's just a little bit of a push, a little bit of a kiss through the middle of the corner. That's not exactly the way that you can do it. But Matt, you're standing by with our race winner.
Yes, Casey Kerwin back to front has done it all. I don't know, you guys call it like lucky dog or something when you get point by. There was not really a lot of pointing by, but that was pretty solid.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I got pretty lucky with just the kind of the chaos at the start. I kind of picked the good line into one where I didn't get held up as much as some of the other people, and then yeah, once we got through it there, it was like me and Emily and Dan Suzuki. We were making good pace up to the front, and then obviously once the guys at the front started battling, it brought us in a bit closer, and then when they kind of had their accident, it pulled us off of TK a little bit. And then at that point, me and Emily were just trying to trade slipstreams down the main straight and just swap to not lose time and try and get the TK. And then it kind of worked out for me once we got the TK. I got by TK, taking the white or 2 to go, I think, or on 2 to go. Yeah. I got by TK, and then they kind of just fought behind after that. So TK and Emily fighting definitely helped me out there. I think honestly Emily was quicker. Whenever she got in front of me, like she would pull a good gap. When I was in front of her, she kind of had to wait until the straightaways to get by me. She definitely was quicker, especially that last lap when she got clear. You saw how much she ran me down. But just kind of worked out in my favor. And we'll definitely.
Was passing Emily with about, I think it was 4 or 5 laps to go strategic, knowing that would give you a better chance to clear Tony, or were you just taking the draft?
Yeah, we were just like I said, we were just trading slipstreams if we were like close. There was no point to defend. Like I said, I think she was a little bit quicker, but she kind of messed up in the final chicane, so I was close into turn 1, and like the bump drafting didn't seem to be like too effective. It was just better to just take the runs and just keep that gain all the way down the straightaway. So I ended up getting by her then, and then I was just the first one to TK. And then, like I said, once I got by TK, they ended up battling because of that. So, that's what helped me out and got me the win. So, it was a great race. It was good fun. I was glad to have an XSET car on this week to have our own colors, which was cool. And it was great races again.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Casey. Emily, from your perspective, he thought you had the pace, but just maybe didn't quite get the right spot, right draft at the right times.
Yeah. Actually, I'll be honest. I think for the first time in a bit, I did actually feel like I had the pace advantage at the end. I felt like a tiny bit faster. But Casey's using all those pro oval strats. He knows where to put the car and when to go for the moves at the right time. And to his credit, like, he made the right decisions. I think it was like 2 laps to go. He passed me just before we got to Tony, and I was like, that's bad. That means he'll be the first one to do the move. And anyway, it was good. Yeah, he played it smart.
Well, that's why I asked him about that, because I was saying the same thing. I was like, I think he's done this to get a clear run, but he just said, no, you made a mistake in the chicane. He called you out on that, by the way, and just took the opportunity. So interesting that you were thinking that way as well, trying to hold position in that game.
Yeah. It's fun. Like, you're always trying to think a couple of steps ahead, but it was good. I was happy to make it to the end after getting killed in the first race. It was nice to make it all the distance.
Yeah, up 9 positions, I think. You and Casey both charging through the field. In fact, the top 4, up 16 for Casey, up 9 for you, up 7 for TK, and up 10 for Dan Suzuki. So pretty remarkable turn.
That's awesome. I feel like it's the level of skill level. The skill level has just raised so much this season. Getting through the field is so much harder than it was last year. Last year, you would just pass everybody in like a lap or so. But now it's like, it's a battle. Like, you have to really think about your moves, making it through. So, yeah.
Racing's difficult. It's fun to watch. It's awesome. I mean, there's just some, like you say, some very talented people in the field.
Yeah, definitely. But it was a good race. I think this is a great combo, like this car at this track. I don't know if people haven't ever driven this combo before. I highly recommend it. Even if you're on your own, it's such a fun combo to drive. So it was fun.
It's cool that we're into the GT3s. Speaking of talent in the field and rising through, thank you, Emery. Tony Kanaan making his way back. This is a guy who's continued to, I guess, sim more often, but you had some real life stuff get in the way of your simming lately, obviously. How did that go?
Yeah, mate, I have to say my real racing life, it's really not helping my my simulator career, but it's been fun. I mean, obviously yesterday I was just at the Speedway testing the IndyCar for the Indy 500 in May, and had no time to prep for this race, which I really take it extremely serious. I mean, especially, with such a talented field. Apart from Quirk, it's everybody else is really good. Quirk is just, it's Quirk. But man, really, really excited. I love this track. This is one of the tracks that it's one of my favorites. Love the Porsche car. That's one of the I drive the most. Apart from that, the stock car on iRacing. So really, really a fun day, a fun afternoon.
Yeah. What was your thought when you were leading in the GT3 car? Were you managing, or were you just going, here they come?
I knew it was a matter of time, but I knew that Casey and Emery, they were really smart. As long as they stopped fighting, they're going to catch me. And I guess eventually, Emery passed Casey and told him in to me, and I knew that that was over. So by then I just tried to be smart and say, you know what, if I tow with these guys, I still can guarantee a podium. I try not to be too greedy. Casey is one of the top e-racers, and so is Emery. So it was a pleasure to say, that I actually held them off for a couple laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you will get them in time. Like you say, you were a little distracted, but we'll get you back on your training regime, and next time out you'll be there.
100%. If not, I'm going to invite them for a go-karting, and then we'll see who's going to.
Yeah, all right. I want to commentate on that. I want to watch that. So awesome. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to have you back in the series with us.
It's awesome, guys. Thank you. Sorry I was absent for a few weeks, but I was racing in real life. But we'll be here for until the end now.
Awesome. Good to hear. So, Paul, pretty good day of racing, I think. That's going to change up things. Obviously, Quirk going off in the second race is going to make the order a little bit shuffled.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at those points then as things stand going out of week number 7 of this championship. There we go. Quirk just 33 points now. So wow. Emily has really caught up that gap there. Bolshazar's 47 points off the lead. Dan Suzuki and Heike 360 together fighting it out. We said that Casey Kerwin was an outside shot. I mean, it's a lot of points, it's at 109 points, but you never say never, especially if he gets more double wins like today.
And that's what I was saying. Mathematically, I said it wrong. I said mathematically he's out of it. Mathematically, he's still in it. It's just unrealistic to think that he needs some bad days from other people, and that's only going to go around so far in terms of luck. So, but man, the fact that he's that far up the championship order already is very impressive.
Absolutely tremendous stuff here today. Matt, your thoughts on the All-Stars there. That was non-stop.
I agree with Emery. Get yourself on iRacing, jump in the Porsche GT3R, and get on Spa-Francorchamps. Even if you're by yourself, it is a great combo. But you can see what the racing does. There's a reason Spa is one of the most popular circuits in the series and all of iRacing, no matter what cars are there. The draft is so intense, and you really have to pick your battles and be very strategic about how you race on it, and it makes sort of a creative racing and exciting racing to watch.
Absolutely. So there we go. That is the end of our Buzz post-race show. And, the highlights. Again, we have the highlights showing on screen, and it was dramatic racing. That is for sure. Dan Suzuki and Emily Jones there with the overtakes through that one. It was an exciting day of racing here with the All-Stars. They get to have a break and get to watch the next round of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, which is coming up very shortly indeed. And wow, these All-Stars, tremendous show put on by them. It was a day to remember for Casey Kerwin though, because he ended up getting a double victory here today in this one. And well, don't forget, if you want to get involved, if you think that you want to take part in races like this, well, after that, why wouldn't you? Log on iRacing.com to make sure you get yourself signed up, and don't forget as well, all the details about this championship there as well, iRacing.com/PESC to get you all the details of this series. But that's the end of the All-Stars. Let's have a look what happened last time we raced in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Hello everybody, welcome along to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. 10 laps of racing, the revs rise, away we go for the sprint race here at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. And it is Dame Warren who gets a good start. The cars launching themselves through that chicane. Oh. There was a car sliding, it was one of the VRS cars.
We got big contact. That's huge. Is that Alejandro Sanchez?
Sanchez?
Oh, no.
And Kevin Ellis Jr. doesn't really put up a fight. So Zach Campbell, look at the smile on his face. He's happy with this because it's going to be a sprint race win. 20 laps of action around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Green flag, away we go. Good start from the front row of the grid. Dane Warren and Salvatellans. We've got a car across the grass. It's Violette, I do believe, who's had issues.
That is a championship one that matters. Jeremy Boutelou's around. Lucky there's a bit of tarmac there. His car, okay. Giassi causes it to get bigger because he nearly I was about to say that is a huge amount of cars involved in the end of that, isn't it? We saw the drama, we saw what happened. Talk us through your perspective.
So close, this can happen. So it's not neither mine neither Hooper fault. It's just unfortunate.
Completely done because I went sideways all the way through the braking zone.
Yeah, hi. I mean, it's been really, really tough, you know.
Look at the run that Sebastian Job got through the chicane. That's what he wanted. He's onto the tailpipe, through the chicane for the final time. You just need to avoid the wall of champions and get very close indeed. But Dane Warren is going to come across the line. A race winner, a feature race winner. Well, here is where we are racing today. Spa-Francorchamps near Stavelot in Belgium, the Ardennes Forest, a really tricky track. Elevation aplenty for these drivers, 7 kilometers in length, and one of the best Grand Prix venues out there. But what is it like to do a lap around here? Well, Julian Sonin is going to show you around.
Hey guys, Julian Sonin here, driving the car number 40 this year in the Porsche Tiger Esports Supercup for RAG Esports. We are at Spa for the round 7 and I'm going to take you on board for a lap and guide you through this lap. Here we are at the last chicane. We are going to try and have a good exit out of the last corner to prepare the lap. There we go. And we are going to cross the line just now to start the lap. We'll come into turn 1 in 5th gear and we'll try to brake just before the 100-meter board on the left. Down shifting to 1st gear, and we try to have a good exit out of that corner because we need a very good run for the very long straight coming next. And then we head off to one of the most iconic corners in motorsport, which is the Radeon. We go flat out through this corner with this car. There we go. And now we have a very long straight, which is probably going to be a very good spot for overtakes today. And we are going to brake just before the curve here on the left hand side. Down shifting to 3rd gear, using as much curb as we can here in both corners. Then we are going to try and have a good exit out of this one, using as much curb as we can here on the outside. Then we are going to downshift the 3rd gear in for the hairpin. We go easy on throttle on the exit, not to have too much wheel spin. Then here we try to use as much curb as we can on the inside and on the outside. And then we are coming to Pouron, a very fast corner. We don't shift to 4th gear. Once again we go easy on throttle to avoid wheel spin. And then we have a big braking zone here, down shifting to 3rd gear. Using as much curb as we can here on the inside, on the right hander. Same here in the left hander. We go easy on throttle because it's very slippery on exit. We pull after the left hand side here. We don't shift to 3rd gear. Then we have a fast right hander here. We shift to 5th just before the corner. And then we have another very long straight just before Blanchiment, which is again going to be a very good spot for overtakes. We are almost going flat out through this corner, just a little lift on the entry. And then we are coming to the last corner of the track, the bus stop chicane, hard on the brakes. Down to 2nd gear, we use as much curb as we can here. Same here, we go easy on throttle on exit, not to spin the tires. And that's it, that was a lap of swap.
drivers on the line. Who will rise to the challenge? This is racing for immortality. This is esports personified. This is the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup.
It is round number 7 of the Porsche Heuer Esports Super Cup. And well, this is where the championship really starts heating up out there. It is Spa-Francorchamps, and things are about to get a bit more spicy, Matt. If our All-Stars races are anything to go by, we are in for one heck of a day.
Throw those out the window. I mean, you're not wrong. Yes, that's something to go by, but just looking at the context of this series alone, we now have 4 rounds left. Today matters. Diogo Pinto's 21 points clear. If it weren't for penalties, he'd be 41 points clear. He's had an incredibly consistent season. And yes, there's been Kevin Ellis Jr. that's been in the mix. Absolutely, Sebastian Job's turned his season around. But they have got to get to the nitty-gritty now because we are in crunch time.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Let's take a look at the championship standings as they are coming into this week then. And it is, as you say, a 21-point lead Diogo Pinto has over Kevin Ellis Jr. That lead has been just eaten away slightly by Ellis Jr. and Sebastian Job. Zach Campbell is in with a shot yet still in this one. The 2 drivers that I want to focus on, Charlie Collins and Maximilian Benneker, if either of those 2 drivers want any hope of winning this championship, they need to make a charge and carry that through from now to the end of the championship.
Yeah, absolutely true. And obviously guys like Dane Warren, feature winner last time out. He started the season with a pole position and sprint win, which started a trend of every pole sitter winning a race for the first 5 rounds. Now, fittingly, he was the one that started it, so he ended it, but turned it around with a feature win by getting the reverse grid. So maybe something in that today. Pole position award as well is definitely something that can be argued and contested at this point in time because Sebastian Job has 2, Dane Warren has 2, and remember, there's an award specifically for that, a lovely Tag Heuer watch that's available at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Also key to point out as well, the automatic qualification for this championship is a top 15. It's a 15-point gap that Moreno Sarica has over 16th. There's your pole sitters so far for each of these ones. So you've got Dane Warren at Hockenheim, Diogo Pinto at Barcelona, Interlagos, Sebastian Job, and Charlie Collins at the Red Bull Ring as well. Sebastian Job does have 2 pole positions to his name, of course, though, because Silverstone was another one that he got in that one, so he was able to double that up. Really, Dane Warren was, as you say, the odd one out, not getting the race win in the sprint race last time at Montreal.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I say, turned that around. We almost joked that it was strategic by dropping down to 8th place and then obviously reverse grid pole. He picked up the feature win, which gave him quite a good points total. I think if he could win either of the 2, there's obviously 50 points available for the feature versus the 25 in the sprint. So probably did it right if you could pick either of the races to win. But look, there's been a lot to talk about in this championship, but the biggest thing is still consistency. The most amount of wins goes to Sebastian Job. If you include both the sprint and features, he's got 1 feature win at the Red Bull Ring, 2 sprint victories, 1 in Brazil and the other in Great Britain at Silverstone. But he is in 3rd, and the other 2 in front of him have only won 1 sprint race for Diogo Pinto. The rest of the time, he's been a ton of podiums. And Kevin Ellis Jr. with 1 feature win, coincidentally at the same round that Diogo Pinto won at Barcelona. And that's it. It's the consistency that has been everything this year.
Well, let's have a look at how things are run here today. So the drivers are now in qualifying, 12 minutes on their own, out there to put in their best lap time. The sprint race will be 6 laps long. They'll then get a 10-minute break between the 2 races, where the top 8 are inverted on the grid for the main race. The main race being 12 laps long. So pole position is important. It does set your stall out for the rest of today, but it's that feature race where you do get the most points, and points mean prizes in this series, but consistency is key to win a championship. And right now, as you pointed out, this man that we're on board with, Diogo Pinto, has been Mr. Consistency. With that one blip, and that one blip, which was at Barcelona, getting caught up in that incident down at turn 10. As these drivers now just preparing themselves for this this qualifying here, Matt, and there's another driver, Jeff Giassi, changed teams to Team Redline. And it's the Porsche 24 by Team Redline.
Yes.
Proper title. And he's not had the best of seasons, it must be said, for Giassi.
No, he hasn't, and it's been disappointing. Obviously, the Brazilian driver that we, at the very start of the season, Hockenheim, there's our lovely calendar, gave us our onboard tutorial and a lap on Twitter that I thought, man, this guy's going to be on it this year, and he just hasn't had it go his way. But as you can see, we are here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We then go to Nürburgring combined. That's right, we're doing the full Nordschleife, as always, in these cars, which is incredible to watch the train of these guys and this amount of skill, this strong of a field. Lap that circuit so close together as they do, and then it's the circuit, the 24-hour Le Mans circuit, the 24-hour du Le Mans to give it the, or du Mans to give it the correct title. I apologize for butchering that, and then obviously Monza for the finale. So some long circuits coming up, and then Monza, which is a incredible draft fest with some very talented braking that is on display. As these cars obviously have no ABS, Paul. And it's very easy losing that aero in a draft to overdo it in the braking and outbrake yourself. So it's always fun to watch who's the most daring in those situations as well.
What impressed me most when we had our track guide by Julien Sonnen, and thank you so much to Julien for giving us that track guide, going flat out through Eau Rouge Radion, did not lift at all in this car. You compare that to last year. Last year they were having to just lift off, weren't they? That car did not have the same amount of aero, slightly narrower front tyres as well on that old car. This car, it loves that Eau Rouge Radion that we're seeing right now on screen.
Absolutely, yeah. It's got just a wider front tire now, a little bit more aero, a bit more aggressive under braking. You know, I remember IH and Guvin saying at the start of when this car was announced to the world, not even just in iRacing, but to the racing world, he had just come back from a test at Monza when we were last year fittingly doing the season finale there at Hockenheim. Actually, it was this week exactly a year ago. And he was saying, yeah, it's more like a GT car now. You can be a little bit more aggressive. From a driving perspective, he said that, you know, the 997 was a bit more raw, but the 991, geez, 997, we're going back 2 generations, aren't we? 991 was a bit more raw, but the 992 is a better race car overall, and I think it's translated into sim. I'll be honest, 991 was so difficult that I had an absolute hatred for it, despite loving what it was, but now the 992 is one of the best cars in sim. It's so rewarding to get a correct lap done with it.
I've got to get a lot of practice in this car, by the way, because I've signed up stupidly to an event where there's a competition with the 992, so I need to learn how this car goes around there. I'm normally used to
the good news
front-wheel drive cars is my wheelhouse. But
I know where there's 35 drivers that you can ask to help you with that, Paul. That's the good news.
And I'm sure they'll all go, oh, why don't you ask this guy?
They'll pull straws for it.
Well, one driver who has had a really good season, Zach Campbell, that we're seeing right now, 4th in the championship. He was a rookie last year in this championship. He has really come on as a driver, of course, finishing 8th in the championship last year, as well as there's Julien Sonnen, the driver from Belgium. It's a home race for Julien, and well, you always seem to just perform that little bit better at your home tracks, don't you? Even though it's in the sim and you've not got the crowds there that you can physically see, but you just feel more comfortable on that home track.
Yeah, sometimes I think the interesting thing is obviously that we see Spa so frequently. There's really I'm sure there's a home track, there's a motivation aspect, but there's really no advantage to it. It's not like a track that's less common that people have to drive more frequently or practice. Name a person who's driven any racing game in the world and hasn't driven Spa. This is a go-to in the sim racing world.
It certainly is, and it's a real driver's track as well. These lap times that you see, they're not representative times. This is still the drivers preparing their cars here in this one. So drivers getting themselves set for their flying lap. And this one, 5.5 minutes remaining in qualifying, and still drivers are just taking their time, preparing the tyres. It's a long lap around here. Some of these drivers have to be careful because with the lap times, I'm just looking at the practice times, 2 minutes 15 you're looking around about for a lap time. So you've got to make sure that you cross that line with a few seconds extra to be able to get your times counted in this one, because as we've saw for the All-Stars, once that clock strikes 0 in that top left-hand corner, that is it. You cannot finish your lap time. If you've not crossed your car across the finish line, then you do not get your lap time counted. So these drivers, they're all preparing the cars, all preparing the tyres, the tyre pressures as well. Using the brakes, using the heat that you can generate from the brakes into that tyre carcass, it all counts. Weaving, it just heats up the surface temperature, doesn't it?
Absolutely. As, just keep an eye on the right side of the screen. You can see our championship live points tracker. There is points for qualifying. We're not showing you that for no reason. And the relegation, as mentioned earlier at the top of the show, this year, because we cut the series down from 40 to 35, is no longer top 20. It's top 15, and it's that much harder to get into. Just to give you an interesting perspective of that, you're seeing driver numbers. P16, Thomas Tetela, Marino Sorica, Graham Carroll, 14th is at risk right now. That's him. You see number 4, 13th position, or excuse me, number 21, I should know better, as in number 14 on your board. I mean, Salvatolans, Alejandro Sanchez at 12th. Aichen Gouven, unfortunately, had to miss a few events. The one event he did return 26th and 14th place last time out in Canada. He's in a position where he could get caught. It's absolutely incredible, the number of top-tier drivers that are in that position right now.
Yeah, and as we say as well, those are the live points as things stand. Of course, you do get points in qualifying. Don't forget that. So we'll be keeping up to date with that one. But Alessandro Bico, then, the Williams Esports driver, it's his first season in the championship. He's always traditionally been, every round of this championship, I've noticed, he's been one of the first ones to set a lap time. But here, Jack Sedgwick is the first driver to start a flying lap here, Matt. And now, he's locking up the wheels going into that one. Not the best of run through La Source. The back end, he was changing down gears just too quickly and locked the rears going into there. Did well to hold on to it going through that corner.
Yeah, well, indeed. Dane Warren, another guy that's been so successful, one of our 2 pole leaders so far this year, looking for another one today. And as you say, the time's not representative yet. We're going to be watching the sectors and trying to see who's coming in. Kevin Ellis Jr., second place in the championship. He's not really had qualifying success. I won't say he's had lack thereof. He's had 2 second places in qualifying, one in Austria and one last time out in Canada. So he's certainly been quick, but just not able to get right to the front. And the front today, Paul, I think if I was going to pick a track that would break our trend, this would be it, because that Kemmel Straight is going to be a huge factor in the race.
It certainly is. Yeah, first sector fastest so far is Cooper Webster for the Red Bull, the Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports team. So he is the fastest one through sector 1 at the moment, but the times are tight in this championship. The Australian, though, he races in the F5000 championship down in Australia. So he's a driver well versed of racing under pressure. Got quite a few good results in that series as well, it must be said. But Cooper right now will be focused solely on this qualifying lap, making sure that he hits all of his marks, getting the line right, getting the apexes. Don't put on too much power on corner exit, or else you'll spin up those rear tyres. But Cooper's looking good so far. Middle sector, though, the fastest is Sebastian Job right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Both Red Bull cars looking really solid then. So obviously they've gotten some great practice. Cooper, the addition to that 2-car stable last year, and making it now a 3rd car, giving a bit more time to focus on it and work together on setup and strategy, because remember, it is an open setup for these guys. Not a ton you can do on the Porsche Cup car, but it absolutely makes a difference. Meanwhile, Maximilian Bedekke, this is the guy you highlighted, Paul, that needs to be better this final part of the season. Needs to do a little bit more. Can't afford bad weekends if he wants to stay in the championship hunt. So see how he looks as he comes across the line. All of the curb, all of the track, and the times will start to stack up now. Cooper Webster, 2:15.8. Holy moly, I said that the All-Stars in the GT3 cars today would be doing faster times for once because they're in the faster car. No, nobody broke a 2:16. 2:15.8 for Cooper Webster. Badeka comes through just 3/10 behind that. That's a huge lap.
Ellis Jr. quicker, Sebastian Job even quicker than that. Charlie Collins, Alejandro Sanchez, Diogo Pinto crucially, 4th place in
Sebastian.
qualifying. So that's big for Sebastian Job though to be on pole position provisionally. Last couple of drivers coming across the line, and it will be Sebastian Job, once we get it confirmed, with another pole position, his 3rd of the season here. He will take the lead of the Tag Heuer pole position award. Pole position, Sebastian Job for the Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports team. Great job for him to get that pole position. But right now, we'll need to have a look at our starting grid as well.
Before we do, Paul, I just want to put in perspective that the All-Stars were great racers in their own right. We're in a GT3 machine, and these guys are so damn good. They just did faster laps in the Porsche Cup car. That is incredible.
Well, I can tell you, it is Job and Collins on the front row of the grid. There's the confirmation of Sebastian Job, 3rd pole position of the season. He's joined by Charlie Collins on the front row of the grid with Alejandro Sanchez and Diogo Pinto, row number 2. Kevin Ellis Jr. and Cooper Webster, 5th and 6th place, with Jeremy Bootsloop and Zach Campbell, 7th and 8th. Thomas Tetteler and Jamie Fluke has not had much time to practice this week, down on row number 5 of the grid. We'll run through as quick as we can because Berryman Caruso, row 6 was Julian Sonin and Johan Haaf, row number 7. Row 8 is Matthew Cipolla and Moreno Sarica. Salvatore and Sam Kiter, row number 9, with Quentin Violate and Maximilian Benneker down in 20th place. That's big for him. Oscar Bickford and Jamie Carroll, 22nd. Gianni Vecchio, Biko with Grabowski. Zelensky, that's not going to be good for him in 26th. Giassi, Thompson, Dane Warren, 29th. David Williams, 30th. And Jack Sedgwick did not score a lap time, but the drivers are getting themselves to the grid here.
Look, I know I'll give Jack Sedgwick a bit of a break here. I know he was at the British GT race with Craig Williams of Craig Setup Shops. He probably used one of Craig's setups, and that's why he was last. So shout out to you, Craig. I know you're watching.
Here we go then, race start for the sprint race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. It's a good launch off the front row of the grid for Sebastian Job. Alejandro Sanchez will hopefully try and get alongside into the inside of Dane Warren into La Source for the first time. 31 cars making their way through La Source. They're going to go 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down the field as they head downhill towards Eau Rouge and Radion, filing themselves single file through Eau Rouge into Radion, up over this hilltop then. Drivers running wide. You've got to be careful of a slowdown penalty here on lap 1 because it is brutal, is that slowdown. Drivers weaving left and right, and Alejandro Sanchez looking for the outside line. We've seen how good and effective the outside line is here around the Lecombe chicane. Malmedy comes next, and he's going to take the lead from Sebastian Job at the front, but Charlie Collins is getting involved here. Kevin Ellis Jr. has moved ahead of Pinto, and that's crucial for the championship.
We got through the crux last year. At this point, it was last year very different people at the front. It was Mitchell DeYoung, Josh Rogers, and Sebastian Job all battling, and Mitchell got into the back of his teammates, Josh, and put him into the gravel at Bruxelles. So we're a little bit further on this time, but the battle no less intense. Look at this fight up front, and you're absolutely right. Alejandro Sanchez made hay while the sun shined, got right around the outside, and takes the lead, but we know the draft is going to be so strong. Perhaps the strongest so far this season at Spa. That said, we've got Le Mans and then the Duttinger Heuer coming up, so that won't last long, but it is going to be extremely important.
Benneker and Sam Kiter are going side by side through Lafania in towards the right-hander at Campus, and through they go. Oh, and they're going to make their way past the 69 of Sarica. Sarica slow through Campus into Stavolo. At the end of this first lap, this has come thick and fast, has this opening lap. Action all the way through the grid here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, and right now we've got the best drivers on the road side of things here in iRacing. all trying to sort themselves out, get themselves into the best position. Remember, in this sprint race, under the top 20 score points here. To the chicane, first time, Hart run a little bit wide. That's going to allow some to go wide, but Thomas Tetela and Jeremy Bootslew, they are duking it out here, and Bootslew gets it to the side of Thomas Tetela. Watch you rejoin, don't get involved with anybody else, and Beneke, I think he's going to take advantage of this one as well. So that's gone from 8th down to 15th place for Thomas Tetela.
Just to note, Beneke's going to hold that off just enough, and I think there might be a bit of damage for Tetela, but he's got a good run on reverse. He's got to use a lot of runoff. That'll be an incident point. Look at someone else who did it, though, strategic, knowing he was going to get a draft around the outside of both of them. Sam Kiter, the rookie, looking extremely sharp, and Beneke's back under threat right now from Thomas Tetela. Not done there. Just to note, Beneke, he was up at that point. I was going to say 6 positions. He's now only up 4, but once again, it's qualifying that is the problem. We're seeing he's very capable in the races of going forward, but man, oh man, not even that's going easily today. Car off wide in the background, not sure who it was. I think it may have been Johan Arth, but either way, this is, okay, it was Oscar Biscarud, excuse me, but either way, this is an excellent scrap between these three.
You can see those live points on the right-hand side of your screen as well. They're updating as we go along to keep a track of everything, and the relegation fight is certainly closing up. There's now 3 points gained in that relegation kerfuffle as the race lead right now at the front. Sanchez still there ahead of Sebastian Job. Job doesn't want to go too early. He doesn't want to be in front of the field as there's a car off. I think that's one of the Williams cars it is, and we'll get back on, but my goodness, I don't know where to look here today, Matt. This is just action everywhere.
It's awesome. I mean, you said it. We knew we were in for something special at Spa, but it's also crunch time. I think the intensity has gone full Spinal Tap right now because it's on to 11. You need points at this point. You can't rest. Consistency has been great, and that's fine if you're Diogo Pinto, who's sitting in 5th place yet again. Another remarkable, consistent position for him to find himself in, unsuspectingly staying out of trouble. But guys like Sebastian, guys like Alejandro Sanchez, who are down in 11th, they can't rest on their laurels. Everyone's got to be gunning for it.
They certainly are. Cooper Webster getting the fastest lap of the race so far in this one as they come out of La Source, plunge downhill. Let's have a look at the Vodafone replay then. This is the race lead. There you see circled was Alejandro Sanchez. Pulls out to the outside of lap 1. He knew that he had to get it done on lap 1. Around the outside is a viable option, and it is a legitimate play around Lecombe into Malmedy. Back to live pictures, and we got a car upside down. Car upside down, that was Matti Seppala who was upside down. Meanwhile, at the front, Sebastian Job moves to the head of your field. Sanchez just slips in between him and Charlie Collins. Collins needs a good result here this week. We said that he needs to really start that charge for a championship right now. But Sanchez to 2nd place. Job, he's trying to stamp his authority on this race.
Absolutely is. He wants to get back to the front. It's interesting. He wants to. Obviously, he feels he's got pace. He feels he has something in that setup that's going to allow the tires to hold on without the benefit of the draft. So he goes early, gets it done. Obviously, with the draft being so strong, the other aspect of that is you know that other people are going to be playing leapfrog behind you. So being in 1st means you might only lose 1 and go down to 2nd. If you go down to 3rd and 4th, it's going to be a lot harder. Here is the car on our roof. 2 rookies going at it. Matthias Simpola into Eau Rouge. Yeah, aero wash. Got a little bit too close. I don't know if he had to check up or get out of the throttle, but then, unfortunately, yeah, that's a very high-speed incident.
He did well to keep it from coming back onto the track, though, to be fair. He did well.
It doesn't exactly roll forward when it's on its roof, does it, Paul?
No, absolutely. But Job, 0.3 of a second lead over Sanchez. I was going to point out track conditions out there. It's nice and cool air temperature, 19 degrees Celsius. The track temperature is 31.7. So it's not the hottest of tracks out there. These drivers can push these tyres here in this race, and they can really gun it in this one. Out of the chicane once again. Sanchez now, though, he won't be panicking too much. He's in that place. Meanwhile, speaking of places, Marino Sarica in the middle of your screen right now, 17th place in this race, and he has lost places in terms of the championship points. 3 points lost compared to the 15 points he had going into this race for that battle for relegation.
Battle for relegation indeed, but man, oh man, up front, this is as tense as ever. And this is why Sebastian Job wants to go early, because he knows everyone else behind is going to be wanting positions. And if he's at the front, he's got a bit more of a buffer to get back into it. Man, oh man, 3 wide, this isn't going to work, no way. Good call, I think, from Charlie Collins to identify that was going to be a bit of a problem, get out of it. But it did allow Sanchez to get a good run on Sebastian, and now he can try and fight that outside line. The problem is he wasn't far enough ahead, so Sebastian still holds it, and that's going to leave him vulnerable once more. How does Kevin Ellis Jr. swap sides in that 2x2 and not get caught out?
Look at Pinto though. He's wanting a piece of this action right now. He wants to move forward. He realizes
someone's going off here.
Well, it looks like it, but they're all keeping on the track somehow and all keeping in the right direction as well. Job's got a little bit of a gap now. He's made a little bit of a break because Sanchez and Collins, they are 2x2, side by side with each other. A little bit of a door panel rub there, perhaps, in towards Lafania once again.
Look at this.
And look at this queue of traffic. It's like everybody. It's like a bank holiday traffic jam in the UK here. It's just one long queue.
Well, it's 2 through 10, now 11 as we're setting. Berryman just sneaking in. Okay, so that's Berryman in the car. 50-12 is Caruso, a rookie who's trying to get involved. This is ridiculous, and you're right, Sebastian Job gets away. The rest of them are all within 1.4 seconds of each other. Finally, they go back to single file, and maybe the bank orders have come into play because no one's fighting to get to the front of the queue right now, but man, oh man, that's why I'm so impressed with the driving quality and the skills of these guys, because I thought that was going to end in tears for someone, certainly, especially heading into Pouen. Oh, that would have been a full Poo meter corner going wide at that point.
That's one way of putting it, that's for sure. But let's just get a hold of things and see how things stand at the moment. It's Sebastian Job who leads this one. He is currently 7/10 of a second ahead of Charlie Collins in second place. Alejandro Sanchez, though, 3/10 of a second back from him in third, with Kevin Ellis Jr. fourth. Diogo Pinto fifth. That's solid points for his championship, with Zach Campbell behind him. He's beaten one of his championship competitors there. He's beaten more than one because Benneker's down in 16th place right now. They're all weaving. They're all trying to break the draft up the Kemmel Straight. It's a steep uphill. I keep on saying it because I've walked it. It is steep up there. It lets you brake late in towards the Lacombe chicane and carry that speed into the corner. You can really be aggressive into the braking zone there. But things are just staying as they are right now, just staying nice and calm. But I feel final lap of the race here, Matt, if Collins can get within about 4/10 of a second going through Eau Rouge Radion, I think that Collins could be in with a shout of the race win here as we look at Cooper Webster, who's the highest placed rookie.
Not for the first time this season. Yeah, he's been very, very good in his debut, I have to say. And as you mentioned, yes, S5000 driver in Australia. He is more than capable, but even missing Silverstone round due to those real-life obligations, he still has double that of any other rookie in the championship right now at 164 versus Oscar Biscarud, the youngest guy in the championship, at 83. So, yeah, it's a pretty remarkable season that he's having in that Red Bull, the Oracle Red Bull car, and definitely still a factor at 10th position in the championship. Probably not in for a shout of being the champion, but can certainly make an impact in that top 10 and take points away from other people.
Yeah, he could definitely have a say in how things and how this championship pans out towards the end of the season. Through Blanchimont, once again, these drivers on the ragged edge of adhesion through there, really pushing their cars to the limit into the braking zone for the chicane. Everybody's staying line astern right now, but look at this. Jeremy Bootsloot, who had a really good first part to the season, has dropped off a little bit in form this second part of the season, but he's currently in 8th place and crucial in this race. That is the reverse grid pole position. He's got Jamie Fluke behind him, but to help him, he's got the slipstream of Cooper Webster in front. So Bootsloot right now looking for pole position in the feature race here today. But through Eau Rouge Radion for the final time in the sprint race, they really cut the chicane, really cut the curb up there. looking forward. Nobody making any moves. Oh, Bootloop got a slow down penalty.
Yep,
I thought he
did.
did cut it too much.
Poor Bootloop's been going backwards in the recent races. The poor guy had such an awesome start to the season and still sits ninth in the championship despite, I would say, 4 of his last 5 races, sprints included obviously, being pretty off the mark. And this is just today gone from bad to worse for him as he's going to go all the way down the order, back to 14th position.
Yeah, that's a big blow for Jeremy as they come out. There's Johan Haaf. He's had an issue up at Malmedy, and he's got back up and running, but he's dropped all the way down to 30th place. The last of the running drivers through Pouan once again, heading uphill towards the Fagnes chicane for the final time in this sprint race. This race has flown by here in this one. It's been entertainment from first to last place. Brilliant stuff here with these drivers. You've got to respect every little bit of ability that these drivers have out there to run so close together, not just in times but also physically out there on track. Good run for Collins through the Stavelot corner, heading towards Blanchimont. I think he's just a little bit too far back, Matt.
I think Sebastian Job opened up the steering and took an incident point because he probably suspected that Charlie was going to get a run, and he used as much as he could coming out of Stavelot to compensate for it. So I think that was a bit strategic by Sebastian. Didn't look like he had understeer, didn't look like he was aiming off course by nature of the car, but yeah, he's going to hold himself ahead just enough.
Sebastian Job, it's going to be his 3rd sprint race victory of the season here. He's got a smile on the face, and well, he deserves it. Brilliant stuff from Sebastian then. He didn't have it all his own way, but he ends up taking the victory here by just a couple of tenths of a second over Charlie Collins. Alejandro Sanchez, a good 3rd place in the end after leading partway through the race. The rest of the field all thundering across the line there. We'll get you some unofficial race results then. Job from Collins with Sanchez in 3rd. Ellis Jr. and Pinto 4th and 5th place with Zach Campbell 6th. Cooper Webster, Jamie Fluke is reverse grid pole position for Jamie in 8th place. Pete Berryman 9th and Jordan Caruso rounds out the top 10. Sonnen Tattala, Kaita Bootloop, Beneka Sarika, Vecchio, Carol Bixrud and Jeff Giassi rounds out your point scorers in that first race. Salva Talons, Zelensky, Warren, that's not the race he wanted. Quintavia Latte, Grabowski, Biko, Williams, Thompson, Sedgwick, Johan Haaf, and Matti Sipler on his roof did not finish. Matt, you have our race winner.
Yeah, Sebastian Job, who not only today took his 3rd pole position of the season to take the lead in the pole award, but also once again, and for the 6th time of 7 rounds, finishes 1st after taking pole position as well. Sebastian, bit of an interesting race. Sanchez got you off the start, but you went back for it as soon as you could.
Yeah, really intense race, but it was always going to be difficult at this. It was some really close moments. I think when I actually made the first overtake, I overshot the corner a bit, and luckily Sanchez saw it and kind of knew to give a bit of space. But other than that, it was a really good battle. I had a lot of fun, and then I got very lucky that they started fighting behind. And just as soon as I saw that, I was like, right, I've had enough. I'm going to push as hard as I can and try and get away. And it was just about enough. Charlie almost reeled me in, but just held on.
So we said for you, bit of an awkward start to the season, got taken out in Hockenheim. You know, the mentality wasn't look at the overall championship. It was look at each race, make points. That's got to be changing soon, right? You've got to be thinking there's a chance here.
Yeah, I think that changed the second I got up to, I think it was just before Montreal, I was 2nd in the championship. And yeah, from that point on, it's kind of back to normal. Think about the championship and keep working hard and keep getting the results like today. So, or like that race. I shouldn't speak too soon yet, but
yeah. Knock on wood. We'll give you some jinx grace there, but no, look, that's an awesome start to the day, and best of luck. Reverse grid, you'll be 8th position at the start of the feature. Pretty impressive race, Paul. Lots of highlights, despite that it's just a short sprint race, even.
Yeah, only 6 laps, but my goodness, did that give us a lot to look at here in this one, and you see how busy it is right at the start, and Sanchez made it through on lap number 1 up into Le Combe, Kevin Ellis Jr., he was determined to try and get past, but I think he's kind of a little bit settled for 4th place. But Sam Kiter, what a drive from him at this move in particular. 3 wide, what a run he got.
Yeah, he saw that one coming. He saw that they were going to be, both losing pace out. Eau Rouge having just sorted themselves out prior. There you go. There's the look, right? They're overlapping each other almost up the hill in Radillon. He just saw it coming. This was a huge moment for Sipola. Obviously, yeah, this would be a very scary incident in any situation. And got in behind, lost the aerodynamics, didn't know if he lifted the throttle or not, but lifting at that point, you're just done for. And a bit of a battle further down, a bit of an argument between Graham Carroll as we saw some shuffling and some argy-bargy, but yeah, good win, Sebastian Job. All but one race this year has the pole sitter won the sprint, and I know that means the sprint is worth 25, and he had 10, so he's got a 35-point total for the day. That's excellent, but now he has to start out in 8th position. Diogo Pinto will be up in 3rd, and if it finished that way, that's 40 points for Pinto on that alone, and 8th would be 26, so it almost neutralizes. So Sebastian still has a job to do of going forward in this feature.
Yeah, he does need to move forward in this one. And speaking of moving forward, this is exactly where he needs to do it. Spa-Francorchamps in Stavelot's nearest town to at this track, 7 kilometers in length, 19 corners. The undulation, the elevation is absolutely incredible around here. If you ever want a workout, go walk a lap around at Spa-Francorchamps, I can tell you that. But points after that sprint race, this is where we start looking at things. Of 14 points now is the gap between Pinto and Job. That is getting closer.
Yeah, that is very close indeed. Beneka is down positions. In fact, Jamie Fluke jumping ahead of him now in the championship once again. It's qualifying for Maximilian Beneka. It's been costing him out so much in this season. Dane Warren's up a few spots from the start of... I take that back, excuse me. He was 8th coming into this. I thought he was down in 10th, but looking pretty comfortably still inside that top 10. Cooper Webster as well, our leading rookie. We just talked about that. 178 now for him. But Pinto, Job, and Ellis Jr. are starting to become our focus. Zach Campbell with a chance if there's dramas, maybe.
And it's that relegation spot as well. It's down to 11 points difference between 15th and 16th place. We're going to be keeping a track of that throughout the season here in this championship as the races come thick and fast now. And speaking of thick and fast, here comes your starting grid. It will be Jamie Fluke who starts on pole position in this one, alongside him Cooper Webster, Zach Campbell and Diogo Pinto the next row with Ellis Jr. and Sanchez. Row number 4 then is the front 2 from that sprint race, Collins and Job, Berryman and Caruso with Sonnen and Tetela. Rest of your grid then, Kiter and Boothler, Beneka, Sarika, Vecchio and Carroll. Oscar Bixrud and Giassi round out the top 20. Some of those names further down. Dane Warren down on row number 12. That is crucial. He needs to move forward. Johan Hart all the way towards the back of your field. So he did not have a good day. Neither did that man either. Matty Sipola facing upside down. But we're getting ready for the start of the feature race in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. 12 laps of action here at Spa-Francorchamps. And these drivers, the revs are rising. We're getting ready for the start of this one. Look to Barney, the green flag is in the air, away we go for the feature race. It's a good start from the front row for Jamie Fluke and Cooper Webster in towards La Source. Cooper Webster's going for the lead. The 3 wide further down in your order through La Source, then plunge downhill. Cold tyres, there's a bit car around, Biko's around in the back of your field along with Cedric and Sipola, but still they're going 3 wide further back in your mid-pack as they're heading through a Rouge Radio. That's not clever.
Whoa. It's so tense right now. That is so tense. I think we saw a car maybe. Yep, absolutely. Massive accident in the background. Didn't catch who it was. It is Graham Carroll, and he was involved in the incident earlier on with Biko as well as they came out of La Source. So Graham has been pushed out wide in that 3 wide incident at Eau Rouge. Just not the place for it on the circuit. Massive incident from him. And meanwhile, it's not done there. There's still 3 wide, Paul.
Oh, there's shenanigans going on in the background. Josh Thompson and Dane Warren. Dane Warren is in the roll. He is out of this race. Josh Thompson, he had contact going into the chicane there. So don't know what's happened there. I'm sure we'll get a look at that one later on. But it's Jamie Fluke who leads from Zach Campbell. Former teammates, those two. Well, they're now against each other here in this race with Pinto. Look at that. P3 3 for Pinto. That's crucial because he's got ahead of Webster, and that's meant that he's got a little bit of a gap between himself and Ellis Jr. Job's up a place, up to 7th.
I was about to say this could be the best chance for a rookie victory all season. We saw Cooper Webster was quick in qualifying. We knew he did well in the first race, but now reverse grid front row. But he's lost positions early on. He's going to have to get on with it if he wants to get back to where the front 12 laps only around here. I say that because it is not that many when you consider the amount of drafting and all of the overtaking opportunities. That is very, very wide. Zach Campbell, naughty. I don't think slowdown out there. I don't think that position of the track gives you one, but certainly not where he's going to want to keep placing that car, because even though it runs wide, you can get on the throttle. It still makes the track considerably longer being out there.
I think Job and Charlie Collins are still duking it out there on track, and there's Jordan Caruso involved in that battle pack as well, as we've got cars around, and Charlie Collins is plunging down the standings there. He's got significant damage to his car. He was racing.
Sebastian Job's in 13th as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's fallen down the order. There has been drama. Berryman, Job, and you're right. There's a bunch of people sliding down on this. Johan Hart's already showing red as well. Dane Worm, we saw him go into the wall. Graham Carroll, Josh Thompson, they're all out. But there's a number of drivers, Charlie Collins, that have lost positions. We've got a million replays to go through, Paul, and this is already. And look at the damage as well in the front of Peter Berryman.
Job's going to be feeling the damage on his car as well. Here's what happened then at Le Combe. This is at the start. So this is Josh Thompson that we looked at. He's going into the chicane. He's moving across. And then 3 wide. It just does not work. Bang. Into the side of Johan Hart. He's tried to come back across. And innocent party in that one was Dane Warren.
Yeah, unfortunately Dane Warren was. I think there could have been more done from Josh Thompson. Maybe if he's a little more aware. The asphalt he can use to protect himself. This was a rouge, and Carroll just turned in too early. Didn't get the overlap, maybe expecting the other car to back out, kind of play a game of chicken at the fastest and most crazy corner you could possibly imagine, and it's going to cost him. There's damage on the front of Sebastian Job's car, Paul. This is going to be a massive factor because he's not going to have the straight line speed. He's already lost a further position at this point in time as well, and it's thankfully behind him Peter Berryman that also has damage. He can hold up the queue a bit because he needs to get back into a rhythm, get those tires hot, but Bixerud's gone by as well.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Sebastian Job after that race win in the sprint race. Let's not forget that. He's gone from a race win, and look at the gap. 5th down to 6th. It's a big gap between them. And Sanchez, he's pulled over the road.
He's out. He's done. He's not. That car doesn't look like it's going to fire again. I think he's out of this race. Sanchez, oh no. He went from nearly winning the first race, finishes 3rd at the end, except not finishing. Look at the live points. Pinto's about to take another massive chunk out of the field. We mentioned before this coming in provisionally based on the sprint race. It was down to 14. It's going to go back to 36 if they were to finish right now. That's a huge win for Pinto on the weekend.
Yeah, that's massive for Pinto, and I think, even if it's just a podium here for him, he is getting himself some good points. He's currently ahead of Kevin Ellis Jr., who is crucial for them. Look at that fastest lap of the race as well for Pinto. You do not get a point for fastest lap as a Pinto now trying to make some moves on Zach Campbell. But here's what happened between Job and Charlie Collins.
So side by side into chicane. So you know what? It was unfortunately Alejandro Sanchez that started the whole thing. And then
Berryman.
Yeah, Berryman gets into the back as well of Sebastian Job, who I think got queued up and stacked up based on at the apex Sanchez rejoining and having a very, very tight entry angle and therefore caught him out a bit. So he just kind of got bumped around and bullied, did Sebastian Job. He's a small dude, but he would have felt picked on in that situation as he got hit by everyone except for anything that was his own fault. So very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, that is wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. And this is what you can get, isn't it? With that inverted grid, you're in and about that pack of cars. Okay, you're not in the mid pack, but you're still in that big race there. And one little mistake and it can cost you big time.
Relegation again. Myrna Sorica's got forward in this. P8 in the race has jumped up there for him the live points to P14. Graham Carroll, 15th place right now, out of this race after that absolutely acrobatic attempt at aviation. I think he's probably better to keep all 4 on the ground as Graham Carroll because he's fast when everything's going well, but not the season for him. He is in a position of relegation. That would be massive for Graham Carroll to have to requalify, because I'm not sure his approach to that. He's been so comfortably in this series since the beginning of it, since its inception. That's a whole new world for him.
Yeah, and it's not easy to qualify. We saw that with Contender Series, how that was. Thomas Tettler as well, he's dropped down a lot of points off of that race against relegation. And the top 15, as you said, Matt, when we started this show, only 15 automatically qualify for next season. This championship just really ramps up the pressure on these drivers. Matti Sipala, number 17, he's currently racing David Williams in the 31 car. He's got Alessandro Bico there as well. Charlie Collins is involved in this one as well. They're racing over 22nd, 23rd and 24th and 25th. Jack Sedgwick trying to tag onto the back of them.
Trying to. I mean, damage is a massive factor. You talk about front runners and being consistently up there. Sure, they might have a 1% advantage over other people and other drivers in this field. That's how close they are. So you take away 1 or 2% of speed and pace with a bit of damage, it's suddenly you're just a target for everyone. So qualifying was so close, the lap times, you just can't afford anything to slow you down. And we're still only a third of the way into this race, Paul, and we're seeing too many guys that are going to be struggling to go forward. I mean, Sebastian Job, I think he does well to even hold on to 12th position. Fortunately, Peter Berryman's behind him. Benica as well. Those guys all suffering damage.
Jamie Fluke and Cooper Webster out of this queue of cars have never won a race in the series. Jamie Fluke has raced in every season of this championship. It would be a sensational result for him if he was to get a race win here. It's easier said than done, that's for sure. And Cooper Webster, we keep on mentioning him, top rookie of the season. The Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports team have got themselves an absolutely blindingly fast driver behind the wheel there, and he wants to get a race win as well in this.
Oh, absolutely.
Campbell, though, he's thinking about a championship. He wants to get a win. Pinto, he's thinking about a championship. He wants to win. And oh, by the way, Kevin Ellis Jr., he's involved in that race there as well. He's looking from the outside in, saying, "Any room for me, lads?"
Yeah, Keji's going to look edgy to try and get some moves done here, no question about it. Those blue wheels might look pretty, but they're going to be fierce in this race. No question, he's going to take advantage of every draft he can get, every opportunity made, especially now that he's got a bit of a buffer behind him. 3 seconds, 3.4 seconds is the gap to the next placed car, which is also a rookie, by the way, Jordan Caruso. We've interviewed him mid-race before from DNFs and problems and all sorts of situations, and it just never seems to go his way. Well, today's looking much better. So a couple of Australians, again, in this series looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, they are. They're looking really good in this race. As you say, Caruso 6th place. We've got racing going on. Sam Keiter, Gianni Vecchio as well. Somebody who's very experienced in this one. Oscar Bixrud, the youngest driver in the series, in that 11th place. And Sebastian Job is hanging on. He's hanging on all that he can in this race to try and just get whatever points he can regain out of this one. It's a recovery drive now for him.
Recovery indeed. Driver slow on the right side. Johnny Vecchio just got a slowdown penalty. So that was his Porsche 24 team red line car that was just going the wrong way in the order. Slowly down the Kemmel Straight, probably the worst place you'd have to go slowly. And Oscar Bisker not down there. He's going to go one further position forward as he gets a job done. And Sebastian Job's holding on to this. Sam Keiter at the next in front of him. Job up to 11th as a result of that slowdown for Vecchio. So every little bit counts for Sebastian.
Certainly does as they move forward then. That's extra points in the bag for Sebastian Job in this one as he tries to recover here. Somebody, unfortunately, Matt, that we are going to speak to is one driver who's out of this race, Johan Hart.
Yeah, Johan, obviously there's been an absolute plethora of incidents and action in this race. So much that it was almost impossible to follow it all at the start. We had about 17 replays to look through, but what happened from your perspective?
Well, on the run down to Leko, I made it 4 wide on the very outside, going a bit through the grass, then it calmed down a bit and we were 3 wide, and then the 2 guys on the inside just made contact, and well, that was the end for me. The steering was bent, so well, tried to keep going for the little straight after Leko, but then so it was done, so decided to park it.
Yeah, and it's difficult because, like you say, we saw the draft 4 wide. You had 2 on the grass, but you were clearly back on the circuit into the braking point, in full control of the car. And at that point, did you feel maybe that there was a bit careless on the right side of you that caused that, or maybe you saw it coming?
I don't really know. They had space between their cars, so yeah. It's unfortunate. It's online racing.
Gotcha. Understood. Well, it's sad to see you out of this race, and it's been an up and down, I guess, sort of championship for you this year, but we wish you the best of luck in the next 3 rounds.
Thank you, monsieur.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for him. We did see it, Paul. I mean, look, I know people say track limits. If you want to put 2 wheels on the grass on a straightaway, credit to you. Let those big balls motivate you straight by everyone else, because that's, it's a risk he's willing to take, and he got the job done. And I thought he was in a great position. Yeah, and unfortunate that he just goes Constantinaed by the other 2 and pinballed off. And that was obviously the incident, for those watching, that took out Dane Warren and had him rejoining and smoked Peter Berryman as well in that, or excuse me, to take out Josh Thompson in that. So a bit of an unfortunate situation all around for those 3 guys.
Peter Berryman, he must feel like he's in the slowest Porsche 992, because up that Kemmel straight, that significant damage to the front of his car, it is just like a barn door on the front of that car. It is not pleasant, and he is falling backwards in this field. He's down to 14th now, with both Benneker and Vecchio both getting past on the Kemmel straight there. For Berryman. So he's now got Salva Talons behind him. Salva will want to move forward in this one. The young Spaniard trying to work his way through. There he is. We get a nice little shot of Salva behind the wheel, looking around, looking in his mirrors as well. Matt, it's not easy out there. You've got to look forward to try and go for the place, but you've got the queue of cars behind you as well.
Yeah, but this is where good driving habits come into it. You've got more information than you would even in a real car on the sim in terms of live deltas for what's going on around you. The spotting is very accurate, but even in the real car, it's the same thing. You make habits. Just before you get into a braking point, the first thing you do is check the mirror. Not least of which to see who's behind you and if they're making a move, but maybe someone's out of control and they're going to slam into you in the braking point. Defensively, you just want to check that. Straightaways, you usually give your belt a snap, check the mirror, as well as on the exit of corners, you're going to look at your delta. There's little habits you do that become almost ritual. And therefore, if you create those good habits, for everyone at home watching right now, you get less overwhelmed. So it's not like, oh God, my eyes have to be forward. Oh God, there's people in my mirror. It just becomes second nature. And that's how you learn to calm your heart rate, calm the pressure, and get into a rhythm and get to a very good racecraft level, is creating very good habits that include awareness.
Certainly do, and you've got to make those good habits count. Now, Oscar Bixrud is up in 9th place ahead of Sam Keiter, and look who's behind now, Sebastian Job. He wants to move forward in this one. He's gained a couple of positions through others having misfortune. Vecchio having the slow-down penalty. Zach Campbell looking for the lead of this race up the inside into Les Combes. Jamie Flirt going around the outside. We've seen people being able to hold on to it there. They're still together side by side. Malmedy and Pinto were on board with championship leader. Fluke keeps ahead for the time being.
Hang on, we need to go off board here. We need to get off of Pinto, because where's Cooper Webster in this? He's going to have a sniff. Surely he's trying to get his nose down the inside of Pinto, because he's going to get held up on the outside. Couldn't quite get there. That's significant, because Cooper knows if Sebastian's down the order, not least of which does he want to win, but he needs to help his teammate by getting points away from these guys. He needs to get in front of Pinto.
Yeah, but getting ahead of Pinto, just how every point matters in this championship, and certainly Cooper Webster can help his teammate out. There's no team's championship, don't forget. Every driver's racing for themselves, but having those teammates out there, especially someone like Cooper Webster, who's been really good, certainly will help things out. We've got a black flag for Quentin Violate out there. He is currently, where is he on our standings? I've not seen him.
He's way down the order in 22nd place.
Yeah, 22nd. So
the guy, I feel bad for the guy. He's such a lovely guy to speak to. He's very happy about being in this series this year as a rookie. Had a remarkable season debut at Hockenheim, and it just hasn't worked out for him since.
Jamie Fluke, he's experienced. As I say, he's raced in every round of this championship here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. But he is under some intense pressure from behind. Zach Campbell, Diogo Pinto, Cooper Webster, Kevin Ellis Jr. That's that race for the lead. The race for 6th place, though. Jordan Caruso, the Logitech G Altus Esports driver, doing a sensational job in 6th, ahead of Jeremy Bootsloot, the man who's retiring from professional sim racing at the end of this season. We couldn't convince him to stay, even after we've spoken to him. We tried our best, but he's decided to hang up the gloves from professional racing. Morena Zarica, 8th place in that race for 6th.
Yeah, I'm sure we still see him do some of the special events and some of endurance races with teammates, but he's definitely not going to be a full-time sim driver, which is sad. He's definitely been someone that we've enjoyed watching over the last few seasons. He's done a lot within the sim world, and at least by his words, he's not moving on from sim entirely. He's going to be involved still within sim racing in a different capacity, so that's pretty great to see as well. But yeah, keep your eyes forward on this one. 5 laps to go, and it seems to start to heat up now. I mean, I mentioned it. There's a bit of a gap behind Kevin Ellis Jr. right now. It has come down a little bit. It's 2.4 seconds, so they've closed up a second at least. But there's just so much space that these guys are going to start to try and play games with each other.
Oh, Campbell really wide through Jackie Expand. You've got to be careful with that one as we go on board with the young American. Let's give you a little bit of the sights and sounds of the race. This is our Buzz on board lap. There we go then, a little bit of the sights and sounds of what was going on there in this race. It is Jamie Fluke trying to break that slipstream, but Zach Campbell has got the run through Radial in towards Lake Orme. Once again, they're almost leaning on each other through Lake Orme. This is really tense at the front of the field. A little bit of a rub there between the two of them. Jamie Fluke is off into the kitty litter at Malmedy. He holds on to it for the time being, but Campbell to the front of your field right now. Pinto, crucial for him, up into 2nd place ahead of Cooper Webster. Ellis Jr. moves ahead of his teammate into 4th. Fluke's still in this one though, but he's in 5th place, and Campbell again running out all the way to the barrier.
Yeah, that's obviously a 1x situation, but that was as close as it gets. You can see him breaking the draft, Jamie Fluke, down the straightaway. Wanted to hold the outside, did it right. Broke him to the inside, got back to the outside, made sure that if he was going to go, he could still defend, but it was just such a run that Zach Campbell had that they were still side by side at Malmedy, as you say, and yeah, that's just bit of a rub, bit of a scuff, almost racing incidents. Fortunately, Fluke's not too far gone on this. He can still hopefully latch onto the back of this draft train, the front 5. But Zach Campbell looking in a lovely spot right now. Diogo Pinto is going to be smiling all the way to the bank right now in terms of his points if he can continue this on.
1st, 2nd, and 4th in the championship are currently Zach Campbell's 4th in the championship in 1st. You got Diogo Pinto in the lead of the championship in 2nd. And you got Kevin Ellis Jr. 2nd place in the championship, 4th place in this line of traffic. Zach Campbell now, though, he's gone to the front of this field with that move. He's got now the difficult task of keeping championship leader Diogo Pinto behind. If I'm Pinto, I'm wanting to just hang back for a little bit, but I don't know whether you can afford to do that, as we're looking further down your field at Benneker in 12th place. He's just ahead of Sam Kiter, who has actually dropped down. Sebastian Job, worth pointing out, 10th place now.
Yeah, he has gotten forward. One lap ago, this group was pretty dramatic, as we're going to look back at the replay of this entire situation. Max Benica on the outside, 3 wide. Sebastian Job's the one in the middle. You just mentioned he's up to 10th. This is quite a bit of the way to do it. I've got huge news. We've just got a slowdown penalty for Diogo Pinto. Finally, he gets caught out with some bad luck because he's been so good and so consistent. Not only does that drop him out of that front 5, it puts him all the way down to the order to 7th. Oh, Smile is revoked. He's going to be furious that the bank was closed because he had a good chance to score points and put them into his account. Now he's in recovery mode. Kevin Ellis Jr., 3rd place. Zach Campbell in 1st right now. And Sebastian Job's only 3 positions behind. This is just... what a championship.
The day that Pinto could have really capitalised on an issue for Sebastian Job in this one to really cement himself at the front of the championship. Little mistake, and I'm guessing this is over the top of the hill at Radion. We'll have a look at it in just a second time because here's the Vodafone Replay on board. Look at Zach Campbell. He looks like he's going for the endurance pit lane. Here we go then, into Eau Rouge, and it's going to be over the top of the hill at Radion.
Little lift, mid-corner. He just got a lot of it there. I think he had a bit of a slide going in through the early part of the corner and just couldn't do anything about it. You can see he immediately gets out of the throttle. He has to with that slowdown. Cooper Webster, 2nd position right now. The rookie looking for the first rookie victory this season. And man, oh man, is he ever on for one right now. He's all over the back of Zach Campbell. 3 laps to go.
That championship, look at those live points. The top 2 now, 9 points as things stand between Ellis Jr. and Diogo Pinto. Ellis Jr., 3rd in queue right here now. It's going to be 2 to go at the line here, Matt. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit anxious about this.
Oh, I'm loving it. Look, I don't have to be anxious. I'm not in the car. I get to sit here, talk about it. These guys have to do all the hard work right now. They're fighting for their lives right now. It's incredible that we're seeing just such a great drive from guys like Cooper Webster and all this. Zach Campbell, again, he's very unsuspecting, very calm. He's able to last in these longer feature races because he's so good at handling and holding on to the car. But here we go. This draft is everything. Cooper Webster's on one, and he knows that Kevin Ellis Jr. is right there knocking on the door if he can't get it done.
Well, Cooper Webster, he's experienced the Conrad Straight in the F5000, the way you could get an incredible tour, but the Kemmel Straight here in Spa-Francorchamps, you cannot. When Zach Campbell was weaving around the straight, I can tell you, as we're on board with Kevin Ellis Jr., Diogo Pinto on our timing tower, left-hand side, upper place, up into 6th place right now. That'll help his championship. But Kevin Ellis Jr., 3rd in line right now. Currently 2nd in the championship. He wants to move forward in this, and the crucial thing is we've got about a lap and a half here, Matt. When does Ellis Jr. start making some moves?
Wow, first chance he gets. If he can get them done, you're absolutely right. I mean, if there's too much risk to it, maybe he doesn't, because he is in the position to capitalize the most right now of anyone. But if he's going to go, it's first chance he gets, because you go, I'd say, as you say, a lap and a half. You've got your run to Blanchimont, maybe breaking in the chicane. La Source, you don't want to go too much and disrupt yourself, because then you're sitting up out of Eau Rouge. You'd rather be on the attack in that position. So I think if he's going to go, he's going to go now.
Zach Campbell won his first ever race in the Porsche Esports Supercup at round number 3, into Lagos. It was a feature race win for him there. Can he get a second feature race win here, or will it be a first ever feature race win for the rookie Cooper Webster? Heading towards the chicane once again. Webster's looking to the inside. He's not wanting to wait. He's trying to compromise Zach Campbell here. But here's Ellis Jr. He's joining in this race now. He's feeling the need to make some moves. The white flag is out. Barney's waving it. And we're going to go 3 wide into La Source. Cooper Webster moving one way or the other. Zach Campbell late defense. And Kevin Ellis Jr. He can get the run he can. No, he can't. He's boxed in here. Jamie Fluke, he won't attack his teammate. I know he will do all he can. This is all about who has got. This is all about who has got the heaviest right foot. And Ellis Jr. He got out of that bottle. But Cooper Webster, it's not quite working for him at the moment. But he has got the slipstream here, Matt.
that is not the position that I would have thought Webster was going to go. That was not where I thought he was going to go. He might have the slipstream, but man, look at the train behind him. And you're right, Fluke can help his teammate by. Kevin Ellis Jr. is not going to get as close upside. Oh, good braking. He made up some ground on the braking. I didn't think he was far enough alongside, and he's not. But that might be, chance gone. A little bit of a slide there for Zach Campbell. Careful with those tires, Zach, because there's still quite a long lap left ahead of you. I don't know if Cooper Webster's going to get another sniff at this. I thought he might try and be a little more patient and use the draft rather than the brakes.
There's the point standings as they are. So Pinto improved slightly because he got those 3 extra points. Campbell right out to the wall again. He's been running that line consistently.
And he's panicking out there. He's hitting the friggin' wiper switch even.
He's wanting a clear view of the final half of lap here is what Zach Campbell wants. Look at the concentration. His eyes are just focused. He's looking at his line. He checks the mirrors every little once in a while. He's not panicking. That's the crucial thing for him, but he needs a run of a lifetime through Campos and Stavelo to carry that speed through Curve Paul Freire in towards Blanchimont and the chicane. The chicane is the last opportunity for Cooper Webster. Kevin Ellis Jr. is there, but I think he's not quite close enough to make any move on Webster. Pinto has got onto the back of Jordan Caruso as well, so Pinto can maybe sniff enough a position gain. It could be minimising that championship points loss, but look at Webster. We're on board with him. Onto the brakes now for the final time. Zach Campbell, he parks it on the apex. He's just got one corner. Get on the power, Zach. It's going to be his second feature race win in the Porsche Heuer Esports for the Supercup for the young American. What a race! My goodness, that was simply sensational out there.
Incredible, and he becomes the only other driver other than Sebastian Job to have 3 wins this season, sprint races included. What a season Zach Campbell, the sophomore, is having. Remarkable, and all the way down the order, intensity, nothing short of intensity, and so much damage and drama, but that I guess goes with the territory when you're racing in PESC, and it's such close series all the way through. Oh man, this might have been the race of the year so far, Paul.
Oh, without a doubt, that was absolutely brilliant, was that race, and definitely a little tip of the hat to those drivers, because we're here for the Buzz post-race show. Oh, take a breath, everybody, because you've possibly seen that best race of the season, if not of the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup history. But here's the results. Zach Campbell, the result that matters, a race win for the young American, taking that win by 0.3 of a second over Cooper Webster. Not quite there yet for Cooper Webster, but I think that win is just waiting to happen for him. Kevin Ellis Jr., 3rd place for him, really crucial for the championship. Jamie Fluke, he had the lead for so long, and just that little bit of side-by-side contact with Campbell drops him down to 4th, with Caruso in 5th. Pinto, big mistake, a slow-down penalty. As we're all getting words about post-race penalties coming through as well, as we'll get you up to date with all of that. But Vecchio in 11th, crucial for Job, 10th place for him. Yeah, there he is, 26th for Peter Berryman, but due to instant point limit.
Yeah, and a race that just he'll want to forget. Remember, he was up running in the top 5 for a period of time, definitely inside of that top 8 comfortably, and was involved in that incident that took a number of guys out at the start. So, yeah, just a race to forget for him. But for Zach Campbell, I said he had an outside chance at this if things went wrong. The slowdown for Pinto, that's going to put him much further forward. Kevin Ellis Jr. is going to be smiling, but I think the biggest smile on the day goes to this man right here, Zach Campbell, another feature win.
Yeah, how about it? I didn't expect to do that well coming in. I honestly just didn't feel as good. First thing that I got to say, though, that was some horrendous netcode between me and Jamie. I mean, we had maybe half a car width between us going into there, and I just hate that for him because I know it's not been a fantastic week at all for him. So I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way and say I'm gutted for him more than anything. I mean, it's really unfortunate for him, but you know, sometimes things just kind of shake out that way.
Yeah, well, he recovered to 4th, so it's not the end of the world, doesn't get a spot on the podium per se. But for you, this now, and we were looking at the standings coming into this, and we were saying the top 3 are definitely in this. You were right there knocking on the door if people made mistakes or you could capitalize. Today you did, and now there's 3 rounds to go. Are you in this? Is this a championship focus for you?
I don't know. It's hard when, Diogo, Kev, Seb, and I are all scoring within 5 places of one another. I really think you got to be within 30 points with 3 rounds to go. I don't know where we're at. I haven't checked or anything. But, we'll see. We'll make a run at it. It's really easy to win a title when you're winning races. So I think the goal just needs to be to win from here on out. And I mean, we'll just keep going, having battles like that. That was fantastic as well between Cooper and Kev. I mean, no other series in the world puts on races like that, and it makes me proud to be a driver in this series.
Well, it makes us proud that you were so happy with another victory, and you're having such a great season. Congrats again, Zach. That's it's going to be definitely something to keep in mind as you say that point total moving forward, and you're in this race now.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's been a wild season. I just got to really thank everyone at Coanda, VRS. Thank my parents. It's been something special, and so hopefully we can cap it off with 3 good runs here.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing it. Second place on the day, best rookie finish of the year. Thought there was a sniff for the first ever rookie win. This is a busy man. You were driving late in the wee hours, as you are today in Australia, as well as doing, the support race for Formula One last time we were out, and now a little more focused this time around, and you're up into second. Not a bad day out for you, Cooper.
No, it was really, really good. I'm so stoked with that result. It's good, because I'm struggling when there's S5000 on the same weekend as PESC. It's just too much to juggle, and the biggest thing that hurts it is that these races are at 4 a.m. for me. So I wake up at 4, and you got to change your whole sleep schedule for the whole week to get it right. So when you wake up, you're ready to go, and it's really tough. But to score a result like that in a feature race that was that exciting is just awesome, and I'm super happy.
Any chance that you thought you could get the lead there? And obviously you lost positions early. I'm sure that changed your strategy a bit, but what was your thinking toward the end of the race?
Yeah, well, at the start of the race, I just wanted to get the best jump I could and try to get alongside Jamie into turn 1 to hopefully hold around the outside, get a better run off to turn 1 and get in front by Rouge. But I didn't do that. I then chose to try to get it side by side on the other side of turn 1. And then on the first lap, I wasn't attacking. I was kind of, on the safe side of things. And that just kind of, because everyone was in a train, it just got worse and worse. Everyone stuck their nose in. Another car stuck their nose in. There wasn't a lot I could do when I chose to just be a little bit more cautious. So I just tried to find a gap between everyone and then settle in. And then exactly what I thought would happen was with Jamie and Zach, maybe contact and Jamie would go off and I'd go through. So I didn't really want to attack Diogo because I felt like if I did, he would be really aggressive, like he did earlier in the race. So there was no point really having a go at Diogo because it would lose time to Zach and I'd have, vulnerable to Kevin behind me. So I just stayed there and then moved forwards. And then towards the end, just all came together and Diogo got the slowdown, so that worked perfectly. And then I thought, stuff it, I'll just, do my best to go for the win, and try to send it. And I did. I tried to turn 1, but Zach defended really, really late. And I'm sure it looked good on camera.
It did. It looked like I wasn't sure you were going to get stopped without some smoke coming off the wheels and maybe a little bit of a help from his car in front to slow you down. But you did it. You managed to make it stick.
Yeah, there's no braking markers. You never brake on that side of the track during practice. So you're just guessing. Like both of us were just guessing. So it's really good that we stayed clean. And I was thinking about sticking my nose in the last chicane as well, but it was just silly if I did that again. So was really happy with second.
Yeah, well, great result. You're having a heck of a season. Highest placed rookie by almost double anyone else, and extended that point total again today. So congratulations.
No, thank you.
Absolutely. And of course, the man you just spoke about, Kevin Ellis Jr., that was staring at the backside of that Orica Red Bull the entire race from within your Apex car and house, that lovely facility behind you, and another podium position for you. And with Diogo getting the slowdown, some good points gained in the championship.
Yeah, today was really tough to manage. We knew that the overtaking was obviously going to be quite tough. Although it is a bit of a draft track, there's a lot of dirt air to contend with, and the stack ups and the slow corners, especially recently, is we're crashing into the back of the car that isn't actually there. So like, there's cushions between all the cars, and we just can't get close. So it was always going to be really tough. Had to try and manage the off tracks, obviously, at the end there as well. So with obviously Jamie getting fired off, it's a bit unfortunate. I don't think anyone did anything wrong there. I think it was just a product of what we have at the moment. And then obviously Diogo getting the slowdown, as you mentioned, was ideal. There's a bit of a check up behind me in one of the chicanes as well, which seemed to have caught Seb out. So yeah, I think all in all, was a P4 and a P3, and then a P5 and Q. So yeah, some good points, and we'll move forward to Le Mans.
Yeah, points in all 3 sessions. Le Mans coming up, and then obviously you've got Nürburgring in there first, though. So you got 2 big circuits, and Nürburgring is always nerve-wracking. But how do you fancy? I think pending, provisionally, and if my math's correct, I think you're like 9 points back at this point. You've got to certainly be thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's nice to be in this position, but we've got other things on at the moment that are kind of keeping us busy. So, as nice as it is to be in this position at the moment, we've just got to keep taking it race by race. The results have been really good recently. The guys have done a really good job getting on top of the tires and qualifying. Obviously, it's tough to manage, but I think we've got on top of it, and especially our race cars have struggled recently. We went a little bit more in a different direction for today. I felt like we really struggled in traffic quite a lot the last few rounds, and it really sort of hurt us a bit. So we changed things up a little bit for this round. It seemed to work okay. Obviously, finishing P3 is pretty good. I was able to follow close. So yeah, hopefully we can carry that into the next few rounds, as you mentioned, and we'll be there for the fight in Monza.
All right. Well, we hope you are. Great job today again. Another good points total, like you say, points in all 3 sessions. That's got to be at least the goal. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys.
Wow. Well, have a look at those point standings as we go into the final three weeks of the championship, Matt, because...
I was going to say my math's not quite as good as I thought. It's 12 points, but, give or take 3, that's still pretty close.
I mean, that is incredibly close. I mean, 31 points covering the top 4 right now. Zach Campbell said you want to be about 30 points going into the final 3 weeks. He's just about on the cusp of that. You would definitely say it's those top 4 that are looking at the possible championship. But looking further down the order, Graham Carroll is in the bubble right now with the relegation spot. Thomas Tetteler not that far behind him here, Matt. This is what looked to be a really strong start to the season for Graham has just turned into a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, and man, what a we say Cooper Webster's so far ahead in the rookie standings. What a result from Jordan Caruso this weekend. He goes from 77 points to the 83 of Oscar Bixerud, but that took him from 5th in the rookie standings up to 2nd, and inside of that, chance to requalify. So he's in a lovely spot as a result of that. Next race. Oh, baby. You want to talk about a racetrack? We're going to the best one on the planet, in my opinion. The Nürburgring Nordschleife combined. We're doing the whole thing. All 22 point whatever kilometers, all 782 corners. It's got it all, Paul.
It's about 169 corners.
Yes, I think it's a little more realistic, but I like to be hyperbolic.
This is where I really get shown up for my lack of being able to pronounce German corner names, but that is in 2 weeks' time then, is that one. But Matt, today, I mean, you said it's possibly the best race of the season. I'm saying it's possibly the best race in the championship's history.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, just incredible contests throughout. Great driving at times. Drama we knew was going to happen. I don't think there was anyone that I would say was really super in the wrong today, because we've seen some incidents that were questionable, but overall, you can tell it's escalated. You can tell that we're getting to the end of the championship and people are starting to very seriously consider where they want to end up in the table.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be intense for that championship run-in, which you will not want to miss in 2 weeks' time. But, from a dramatic and sensational round of action here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup at Spa-Francorchamps. My name is Paul Smith. I've been joined by Matt Trivett, Seidekis, and everybody behind the scenes on the broadcast as well. Sensational job for them to capture everything that happened here. We're looking at the highlights. You could watch the whole race and that'd be the highlights of it. It's absolutely brilliant. See you in 2 weeks though at the Nürburgring. Until next time, it's goodbye.